Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to a brand new week of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and we will have the legend, Jim Goodall, here to talk all things Area 51 coming up momentarily. Dirty Filth is here with another crazy cartoon. And the best part about tonight, we have each and every one of you, including Kitty Caddywhack in the gold medal position, Race Fan with a silver, new listener Holly taking home a bronze medal tonight. Welcome. And by the way, everybody send love and healing to Kitty Caddywhack. She lost her mama today. And so we send all the love in the world to you, Kitty Caddywhack, from all of us here at Spaced Out Radio. We send you sympathy and love and hope for a bright future with Mom's spirit around. So make sure everybody please send Kitty Caddywhack some love. Tim Mothman and his goatee, two separate entities. How you doing? Emperor Penguin, how you doing? Andromedan is here. Andromedan will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind. To the left of the studio, Lee the Bee, Bar Madison, Frankie B, Robert Lamoth, Fast Hemi, Stephanie, Kenny Blankenship. Nice to see you all here. All right. Little Timmy James. Well, he's on a Tim Hortons run right now. And it's just habit when I announce his name that I got to wave. So, yeah, he'll be back in a few minutes. Mel WD-40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show, because the one thing with Jim Goodall, he always likes to be nice and lubed. He never knows what position he will be in, so the lube that Mel is performing right now is going to help Jim out for tonight's interview, so we appreciate that, Mel. Thank you very much. Bill Sardellis, how are you? Michelle Wilfong is here. Michelle will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. I believe this is her first time, so be gentle with her. Linda, how are you? Warden Dragon, what's happening? Flat 6, good to see you, my friend, as we continue on with our roll call. There she is. There's my pride and joy, Mama Catherine. Mwah! I love you, my dear. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful night tonight, enjoying Jim tonight. And I missed you in Vegas. I wish you were there. I really do. It just didn't seem the same without you. I'm just going to say that. I'll put that on record. Glenn John McEnroe, how are you tonight? As we continue on with our roll call, Chris 716, Eternity Eternal, Sweet Donna C. Good to have you here. Dave Tiger Williams is here. He'll drop the gloves for you. Necessary Dialogue. And who's next? Tracy Alien Girl Winters, how are you? Matthew Goodka, good to see you. Road Flare, Operation Shutdown, just another guy named Harry. Good to have you all here. Creepy Pasta, how are you? Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. Algaray on Twitch, 5,100 push-ups in 7 minutes. He's jacked for Jim Goodall tonight. Can't blame him either. Walter, what's happening, my man? Luscious Jules, Ozzy, good to see you both here. JSCO, thanks for coming on in. I'm Hardcore over on X. Good to have you here, my friend. Carol Amario, Pam Harris, how are you doing? Let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We got Jim Goodall here, recent entrant into the United States Aviation Hall of Fame. He's here for a great show about Area 51, and we are in roll call on YouTube right now. So we are going to say hello to Gamer Quest. How are you doing? And who's next on our list? Gary Rooson, nice to have you back. Hey, beautiful Amanda, how are you? Paramarv, nice to see you. And Millennium, my man, thanks for coming on in. Hi, Chris. Jessica Hurtado, welcome to SOR Chat. And who's next on our list here? Teen, how are you? Good to see you. And we are caught up. Reminder to all of you, the Super Chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Hi, Zen2, how are you? And, of course, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag, so make sure you check it on out. Throw those horns up. Let's rock.
Little brother has taken control, shoveling dirt in every hole. Predators condemn your soul, watching you and watching me. We're all connected but separated, misunderstood and so frustrated. A million armies in one have invaded, watching you and watching me. We live behind glass curtains and act like nothing's wrong. Soon you will be long. I know you're out there somewhere. Without you, to fall.
All of Fame. Jim Goodall is here. He's going to break down everything to do with Area 51 and the secrets that might be hiding there, including the camo dudes who we ran into just a week and a bit ago. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will kick things off. And it's been a busy couple of days in the UFO world. So little Timmy James will be here with the UFO report. Now, I got to tell you, this is one of my heroes, one of my mentors in this field. His name is Jim Goodall, if you've never heard of him. Well, Jim has been a very, very staunch and great mentor and friend to not only me, but so many others within this community. Recently, he received the honor of being named into the United States Aviation Hall of Fame. Well-deserved for his great books on military aircraft, specifically the SR-71 Blackbird and the F-117 stealth fighter. In fact, going back in history, Jim was the first civilian to ever capture a photo of the F-117 stealth fighter flying in the sky of Nevada. He's here tonight to talk about Area 51, a place that we just visited together about 8-9 days ago. And it's been absolutely wonderful because there was a little surprise for Jim at the Little Alien in Rachel, Nevada. We're going to get into that story as well. So let's just jump right into it because this is a man who really doesn't need too much of an introduction. Jim Goodall, Hall of Famer. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing good. I am delighted to be here as usual. You're one of my favorite people, and Dirty Filth is here, but he didn't show up to Vegas. Why in the heck you didn't? We're looking for you. Were you in jail?
Yeah, I had to get bailed out.
I
smuggled some candy into the theater and they caught me.
Oh no. That's an execution offense, you know.
I got a couple guys that helped me out there.
Oh, okay. All right. So,
well, you know what, Jim? I got to ask you, right, first and foremost, what's it like being a Hall of Famer?
I'm incredibly honored. Of the 7 members from the Minnesota Air Guard, who I was a member of for 21 years. There are a total of 7 of us now it's the Minnesota Aviation Hall of Fame. And of 6 of those 7 inductees prior to me coming on board are all general officers. And then you have me, Master Sergeant. So I guess I keep some pretty good company. One of the most famous people to be in the Minnesota Aviation Hall of Fame, a man that was born in Little Falls, Minnesota, which is right in the middle of the state, is Charles Lindbergh. And for years, we had a replica of the Spirit of St. Louis hanging in the ceiling of Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport. And then they remodeled it, and they, of course, they're always doing that to an airport. And we had to take it down, and we realized just how bad the thing was built. So we actually built brand new wings, new fuselage, landing gear, tail feathers, the whole bit. And then when the new gold concourse was completed, we hung it up again. So it's an honor that deep down I was hoping that maybe I would be recognized, but I wasn't going to be surprised if I didn't. And I have to thank Major General Gene Andreotti, Brigadier General Mark Ness, and I can't remember the other generals that signed off on me becoming a member of the Hall of Fame. But it was a real honor. But the funniest thing is, I drove Rosemary out with a bunch of my books. There's no way I was going to ship the books because they wouldn't get there on time. Just one each of everything I've done, and then some Blackbird instruments and some other stuff. So we drove the Corvette all the way from from Arizona and Minnesota, and then back. I wasn't home for a couple of days, and I headed out to Las Vegas. Got home and then turned around, and now I had to come up here to Seattle. Fortunately, I go home tomorrow, so I'm very pleased with that. But one of the funny things, as we're putting together the seating order on my table, I had Shelley Goodall sitting next to Rosemary Goodall, and Carol, who's putting together the seating stuff for the Aviation Hall of Fame, said, "Are they sisters?" I said, "No, one's my first wife and one's my last wife." I said, "And they're sitting side by side?" I said, "We're staying with her. She's staying in the house I bought." And Rosemary and Shelley are very dear to each other. They have a common bond, and his name's James C. Goodall. And I guess that doesn't get any better than that, right?
Well, of course. I mean, you are a legend, and
Well,
not just in your own mind either.
Well, I'm honored. I really am. I'm just a guy who likes airplanes. I'm a guy I'm 80. I turned 80 in March. I don't know how in the hell that happened. I mean, back in the back of the recesses of this crusty brain of mine, I had feelings that at times I'm still in the 90s, not the late 90s. I'm talking about 90 or 91 or 92. And I realized, no, that was a long time ago. That was 35 years ago. So time's just zipping by, but I'm enjoying it. I haven't been enjoying it this week. I've been under so much stress. One, I had to be here for my best friend. He shattered his femur. He fell on his knee, on a replacement knee that's only a couple months old. And he shoved his femur up so hard that it broke the ball off of the hip joint and shoved the femur up through his pelvis and then out. And he was walking around for 3 months because some idiot weren't able to read a X-ray very well. And when he finally got to his orthopedic surgeon, this was less than right after we got back from Vegas, he told me, "Hey, I'm going in next Tuesday," which is a week from tomorrow. He went in for surgery, and he lives by himself. Yeah, he doesn't have any family. I'm his family. So I told Rosemary I have to go, and she said, "Absolutely." So I flew up here. I wasn't there for the day of surgery, but I was there the evening for the day after. And I've known him for 64 years.
Oh, wow.
And they rolled him over to change his bedding when I was in there. And you could hear it through all of the whole hospital, I think. He said the pain was so incredible. They worked on, normally, I think it's 2.5 hours for hip replacement. They're fairly easy. Well, his had to be reconstructive surgery because there was like 40 muscles and tendons that had adhesed themselves in the position of having his femur 3 to 4 inches shorter than it was before he fell. So they had to rip all that stuff out, reposition it, and I took him to physical therapy today, and he was doing great. I mean, it's still pain, but it said it's not 24. It's not 24/7. When he quits moving, the pain goes away because it's muscle pain now. It's not bone pain. So that's been my quiet life since I left Las Vegas here 8 days ago. and my poor dog is wondering, where the hell's Jim? He gives me treatsies, and he's wandering around the house looking for me. So, but
well, I'm going to just tell you right now, because I know you'll light up. The young lady who has a major crush on you, Nicole Sackich, is in our YouTube chat room.
Oh, hi, Nicole.
She says, "Woohoo, fellow space travelers! Yay! It's my favorite handsome man from Tucson."
Thank you, dear. I had a great I had a great time in Vegas. I really did. And I love seeing her. I love seeing you, random guy, everybody. And I'm waiting for Kira's husband to send me an email. He was just a fascinating gentleman, and I really, really enjoyed talking with him. And I could have gone off into a corner and we could have just chatted. But we didn't have that opportunity. It was almost the last night. It was second to the last night when the group was together. So, and again, I haven't had a good night's sleep in 3 weeks. I didn't sleep for squat. Or you can ask Amy as she's driving up to the campsite there on the back road, Area 51. I mean, I'm trying to stay awake. Normally, I would have said, "Dave, I'm just going to sleep in," but there was no way I could. The people traveled a long distance. They wanted to at least get a flavor of the back road to Area 51 and go see a real life camo dude. And if we had left a little bit earlier, and if the weather hadn't been starting to change, it was getting cold and windy. A few raindrops here and there. We were going to go to TTR, which is Tonopah Test Range. And that's where I photographed the very first F-117 at the fence line with the aviation legend of all times, as far as I'm concerned. That was John Lear. And I miss him.
I want to ask you about that, Jim.
Sure.
Take me through that scenario, and people who may not have heard this story from you. What was that scenario that led to that photograph of that first ever public photograph of the F-117? Because up until then, we thought they were only flying at night.
Yeah, the whole world did. When they announced the existence of the B-2 stealth bomber, which I've already written a book on now, and I've even flown the B-2 simulator at Whiteman Air Force Base. But they announced on the 11th of November, 1988, and the 22nd of November, 1988, the B-2 stealth bomber and the F-117 stealth fighter. They rolled out the B-2, so it was a public rollout, and they published a backlit using a telephoto lens, which compresses the image. You couldn't tell what kind of sweep the F-117 had. It looked like it had about 25 or 30 degree sweep, not the one it has. And so I called Lear up first week of January, and they said, John, they said, let's go find us an F-117. He said, sure, when do you want to do it? And I said, I'm flying into Vegas tomorrow. This is like the 4th or 5th of January, 1989. Arrive in McCarran and drive up to John's place, pick him up. We jump in the car. We're heading north on US 95. We're heading to Tonopah. And we go by Creech Air Force Base, and that's where they fly the RQ-170, I think, flies out of there, and a bunch of other drones are flown out of Creech. And you head up north, you go through Beatty, and about 2/3 of the way there is Scotty's Junction. It's 2000. I'm really tired, so you have to excuse me. About 3/4 of the way to Tonopah, we're about 15 miles north of Scotty's Junction, and everybody in Nevada sort of knows where that is. It was the location of a legal house of prostitution that apparently they didn't pay their federal taxes, and the federal government took it over, and it went out of business. I can't imagine how, unless the product's spoiled. I have no idea. But about 15 miles north of that, an F-117 flew across the road at about a 45-degree angle and at about 1,500 feet above me, and was right there. I almost crashed the car. So Lear and I got into Tonopah. We grabbed a bite. We hit US 6 eastbound. You go out 14 miles. You're 14 miles of nothing. You can see Mud Lake. You can see the Tonopah FBO, and there's an old hangar there. It's a World War II hangar. They used to do gunnery practice there in P-39s. They were used as like a pinball machine. They had plates on them, and other rookie fighter pilots would shoot plastic bullets at the P-39 made by Bell. Their engine was back, and the propeller shaft went between your legs, which would bother me, especially if you lost a U-joint. you'd have a real high voice after that. And so we're heading out west. Or you get mile 14 out of Tonopah. There's a big sign, blue and white. It says Tonopah Test Range, Sandia Labs, and a bunch of other stuff. And on the top is a B-43 nuclear weapon shape, because they tested aerodynamic characteristics of free fall weapons in that area. And there was a rocket booster from a Nike Ajax behind it. So you go down 18 miles to the main gate. And because I was a reservist at the time, I could get on any base except those in a restricted area, and Tonopah Test Range is a restricted area. So John noticed that there's a road going on the public land side of the fence. So we drive about 2 miles out. You're looking right down on the entire complex. I think it was over 60 hangars. What? Someone give you a lube job or what? Is it Oilers?
No. It's all good. It's all good.
Oh, okay. So we're standing there. This is before digital cameras and also before digital phones. I have a Nikon. I'm shooting Kodacolor 100. It's a fine grain color print film. And I knew if I got something, I would get back to Vegas. I'd get to a photo mat. If you have hair my color or you don't have hair at all, You're probably old enough to remember what a photomat was. And that was a little kiosk building in the middle of a parking lot. I think they were all taken over by coffee baristas. And you wouldn't have to get out of your car. They'd hand you an envelope, you'd tear the claim check off, you write your name on it, you put your film in it, you seal it, you hand it back to them, and off you go. The next day or 2 days later, whatever service that you were requesting, you come back, not even get out of your car, give them your credit card or cash. So I'm standing there with Lear, and I look to the north, and a real long final. There's a probably just over US 6, which is 18 miles away. There's a fuzzy black ball with a little white light underneath, and then a bluish white one with a light underneath. So I figured that's the chase airplane, to make sure that nothing falls off, nothing breaks, or a panel, whatever. They do that during flight tests. And as I'm shooting with a Nikon telephoto, and as the F-117 is coming, I'm getting a side view of it, and all of a sudden the whole viewfinder is filling up with F-117s, and I'm like a 10-year-old boy seeing a naked woman for the first time. My body was literally vibrating, probably a 60 cycle or faster, and I'm doing everything I can to keep from shaking the camera. I was shooting at 250th of a second, so I was hoping that if it's blurry, it's not too blurry. So we went through all 36, probably 37 exposures, and I said, John, let's get the hell back to Vegas. So we jumped in the car and headed back up now 2 miles to the main road, and then 18 miles to US 6, head east, another 40 miles, and you come to the north end of the extraterrestrial highway, Nevada 375. It's a place called Warm Springs. It's a warm spring right there. They used to have a street light and a phone booth. You're 15 miles from nowhere. And why the hell there was a phone booth there and a light? And there was a building, but the first time I went there was 87. And the building has been vacant since then. So we're heading south. We're heading off to Little Alien. We get in there. This is Joe and Pat Travis had bought the Little Alien, I think in '86, and it was originally called the Rachel Bar and Grill, and because they were so close to Area 51, they decided to call it the Little Alien. And sure as shooting, it was the Little Alien at the time, and we got to know Joe and Pat. We had dinner. At one of their alien burgers. They didn't call them. They weren't quite into the UFO mode yet. So we turned around. We're heading back to Vegas. We had another 2 hours to go. I know we're not going to make it in time to get to a photomat. I'm a little bit bummed about that, which means I have to spend a couple extra days or keep it on me, fly all the way back to Minnesota, where I was home at the time, and get it processed in Minnesota, which means I wouldn't see it for a week. So as we're heading down there, John says, the photomats are going to be closed, but I have a new friend just moved into town from Albuquerque. I think you'll like him. I called him when we were at Rachel, and I told him that what time we'd be at the house, and he's coming over. So
Jim, hold that thought, because we're gonna continue this great story when we return from the break here on Spaced Out Radio. Legendary aviation historian Jim Goodall is our guest tonight on the show. Recently inducted into the United States Aviation Hall of Fame. Well deserved for an absolute gem of a human being. And we will be back with more Area 51 stories when we return with the legendary Jim Goodall. Good start, Jimmy. Good start.
Good. Good.
Hey,
Well,
Dirty Filth, what do you think of Skinner getting the shutout tonight?
Oh, sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes you get lucky, Dave.
We're up 3-1, buddy. 3-1.
Is it hopscotch?
Oh. Trying times being an Oilers fan, especially with our goaltending. Oh, Jimmy. Here's my rock from Area 51 that I grabbed.
Oh,
The
good.
sign. I grabbed a rock right from the sign.
Good. Good.
Yep. Uh-huh. Now, Tim, I'm going to bring you in for a quick second. So you just get ready here for a quick second.
Hang on a second.
Yeah.
I don't have a mic ready.
I know you got nothing prepared.
Yeah, I don't have anything prepared.
There we go.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, Jim. How about yourself?
I'm exhausted. I've been on the road. I don't know if you've heard my adventure since Las Vegas.
Yeah.
But I'm going home tomorrow. And traffic in Seattle is an absolute abomination.
It is.
It's ridiculous.
And
Yep.
I'm up the north end I'm in Edmonds, Washington, which is in Snohomish County, which is not King County, which is run by communists. But my friend who I'm staying at, Lee's house. I've known Lee for about 25 years. She's from Minnesota. She's my Minnesota friend. And she said, well, it'll be an hour and a half, 2 hours to SeaTac from her house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and an hour and a half to 2 hours back. It's 25 miles. Or maybe 28 miles. I don't think it's more than that. And you go from a mile marker 196 to a mile marker 188. How many miles is that?
Now, Jim, I brought Tim in here early for a second because we need some clarification.
Okay.
Sure.
There was a lot of people who said that you and I, Tim, were
Yeah.
El Ovni Volador and El Phantasmo
Oh, yeah.
putting masks on at Area 51. Did you see El Ovni Volador and El Phantasmo there, Jim?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
They weren't with us.
I know, but they were there.
I didn't see them. When did you see them?
You didn't look in the mirror.
Jim's got a keen eye. He spotted the camouflage dudes up on the hill and stuff. So
Yeah,
you never know.
It's all that stuff hanging on the bottom of your face.
That's my beard, yeah.
Yeah, you got a righteous beard. I couldn't grow a beard if my life depended on it.
You want some? I can,
No.
I can cut them for you.
No, that's all right. That's all right.
See? But this also proves right now, for the record,
Hall of Famer.
you are not El Phantasmo,
Nope.
and I am not El Ovni Volador.
No.
So let's just get this crap out of the way here, people.
Call it a day.
And
Call
they
it a
were
day.
and they were here. They were at Vegas. I was so
Right.
honored.
I never saw him.
Me either. Just the video.
Just saw that video. Yeah.
And oh, by the way, I don't know who picked up my meal on when we had there at the steakhouse. I want to
I
thank.
believe that was your girlfriend.
Oh, really? Well, I thank, dear. Next time I see you, I'll have to give you a big hug.
I think Nicole.
She may want more than a hug, Jim. She may want a little kiss on the cheek.
Well, I can arrange that too. I don't think it'd be too inappropriate. So, I mean, she's just a kid. I'm an old guy, so I'm not very dangerous anymore.
Well, as Guns N' Roses sings, I think she wants to take you down to the Paradise City.
Oh, yeah. But
Maybe even dancing.
no, I went dancing just a little bit. That was it Saturday night?
I think
I
so.
went over there, but I was so friggin' tired because I didn't get any sleep the night before at all.
No, that's right.
And when we headed out, when we started to head out, I called Dave, or I texted him, you were there.
See you in a little while.
Hold on, Jimmy, because we're coming back in 10 seconds.
All right.
Still waiting for our first super chatter. Let's get the second half hour going here right now. An hour of Space Out Radio. Hall of Famer and a guy with great hair. Yes, indeed. Hey, I want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, our archives are always free on YouTube and every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. We do. You could rock out to Bumblefoot. You could read the news wire. You could check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. Jim Goodall photographing the first public photograph of the F-117 stealth fighter back in 1989. And Jim, you and John Lear were driving down the road. You see this weird-looking thing fly over you at about 1,500 feet. You being an aviation expert, you knew it was something brand new, and it got your heart going.
I knew it. I knew it was a faceted airplane. I knew that. I knew it was black, and even the terrible photo that they published of the F-117, which didn't do it justice. I knew, because I'm a photographer, how everything is compressed with a telephoto lens. So we get back to Lear's place. It's about 9:15. I don't remember the day of the week it was, but it was early in the week. And I heard a knock on the front door. John gets up, goes over, opens the door, brings his new friend into John Lear's office. And anybody who ever had the opportunity to go into John's office, there was no more space on the wall where you could put another photo or another certificate of something. Everywhere. G. Gordon Liddy, to my good friend John Lear, signed G. Gordon Liddy. I mean, also, it was an incredible wall. So we're there, and the guy walks in with John into the study, introduces himself as he's just moved here. He's waiting for his clearance to be upgraded. He introduces himself as Bob Lazar. And nice guy, soft-spoken. And nothing. There's no bells or anything came up or whatever. And we just chatting. And I told him what my dilemma was. I have proof, good shot, side view with a T-38 chase airplane, so you can get the size and the basic shape of the airplane. And I have to wait until tomorrow just to put the film into at a photo mat, and probably wait a day or more to get it developed. And I was kind of bummed. And he said, "Hey, I have to keep myself busy. I process print film for real estate agents. I have a C41 processor at my house over in West Charleston." He said, "Let's go." We jump in his car. We're not a block from Lear's house. He looks at me and says, "I feel sorry for that dumb son of a bitch Lear." I said, "What do you mean?" I said, "The fool believes in UFOs. How stupid is that? He's from this world famous aviation family. His father gave the world Learjet, plus all these aviation electronics that Bill Lear had developed, and Learfan, which never really took off. There's one hanging at the Museum of Flight up in the Great Gallery." And Bob Lazar said, I just feel sorry for Lear. He says, I'm a physicist. If I can't prove it mathematically or put my hands on it, it doesn't exist. I said, and you couldn't put a gun to my head to convince me the UFOs are real. I thought it was really quite a statement. I didn't know what he was going to be doing in the desert. He didn't either. So we get to his house. There's a beautiful diploma. I didn't read it. I just passed by it. Wow, it's impressive looking, whatever it was. It was from a major university, and I don't think it was for an associate arts degree. It was too ornate. We processed the film. It turned out pretty good, and we headed back to John's place. And in 2022, when we were in Reno, 22, yeah, I went to visit Bob Lazar. Was it 22 or was it 23? You're looking up in the ceiling. Is there a critter up there?
No, go. I'm listening.
Oh, okay. I forgot where I was at. I got distracted.
Lazar doesn't believe that in you.
No, he said you couldn't put a gun to his. He said you couldn't put a gun to my head to convince me that UFOs are real. So when I was up at his place in say it was May of 22 or 23, my brain is not as good with times and dates anymore. It used to be really good. And so Bob has a photographic memory. So I said, Bob, do you remember what you told me the night we met? And he looked at me, and said, you mean I don't believe in UFOs? I said, yeah, that one. I said, yeah, I remember exactly what I said. I didn't believe in UFOs. I'm a nuclear physicist. If I can put my hands on it or touch it, it doesn't exist. And you can put a gun to my head. You couldn't make me believe it. And so that was my introduction to Bob Lazar. And the rest of it has been just a fun ride ever since. When I was activated, well, I actually volunteered. I had a fatal attraction girlfriend. Her name was Debbie Lee. So you could figure she was blonde bimbo. No, she wasn't a bimbo, but she was 5'11", blonde, pixie haircut, all legs. I volunteered to go to Saudi Arabia for a year during Desert Shield and Desert Storm to get away from her. And my girlfriend at the time was 4'10". Debbie Lee is 5'10", and she always wore heels. So she goes to work one morning, I think it's September 19th of 1990. Desert Shield has only been going on for not even 2 months yet. And I packed my car, jumped on the interstate, and 21 hours later, I was in Washington, D.C. at the Hampton Inn in Alexandria. And when she came home, no one knew where I was at. The only two people knew where I was at: my first sergeant and my wing commander. And so I just figure, I'm free of her for however long I'm on active duty. Total was 121 days, but I'm there about 3 weeks. And I have Bob Lazar's W-2 with me. He gave it to me. I blocked out the Social Security number, which doesn't exist. That was on his W-2. And I always carried it in my back pocket every day, when I was in the Pentagon or over at Garvey or over to Andrews. And one particular day, it was a real quiet day. News-wise, my job was to read every single message going to and from CENTCOM, from eyes only to confidential or proprietary. I saw it all. Anything that was related to the Air National Guard or the Army National Guard, I had to pull the document, depending on the classification, write the appropriate paperwork for the copy, log it, put it in a separate file. And then at the end of my day, I put it into the 4-door filing cabinet safe inside a safe. And I was always looking for something when I read something spooky. I didn't see anything, and I saw eyes only stuff on down, and I didn't see anything on UFOs, and it pissed me off. So I had some time, and I'm on the Pentagon website, and I'm going through, I'm trying to find this Department of Navy that paid Bob. I can't find that particular department. So I believe I went to Naval Investigative Services, and I found their address. It was on one of the outer rings, and door was open. I walk in there. There's a young Lieutenant J.G. sitting behind the counter or the desk, and I said, "Sir, can you tell me where this Department of the Navy is located?" And I'm in a sharp, starched light blue shirt with all my ribbons, and I was a tech sergeant at the time. My hair was right to regulation, so I was looking pretty good as far as a GI would look. And the guy gets up and says, "Excuse me for a minute, Sergeant." He walks into the two-star admiral's office. He's in there about 15 seconds. He comes out and said, "The admiral will see you now." Now, anybody who's been in the military, especially the Navy, because they have a real strong feeling of superiority for flag officers towards especially enlisted people. So I go in there, and he's holding Bob's W-2 in his hand, and he's shaking. I go in there, I gave him a sharp salute, and normally, even if you're getting dressed down for some infraction or whatever, they'll say at ease. He said parade dress. So I'm standing there at parade dress. And I knew this wasn't going to end well. It wasn't going to be a pleasant experience. So I'm sitting there, and he said, "Sergeant, I don't know where you got this, but if I ever see your face cross the threshold of my office ever again," excuse me, "you'll be the most sorriest son of a bitch in NCO in the United States military. Do you understand me, Sergeant?" I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "You're dismissed." And I gave him a sharp salute, did an about face, and went, "Oh boy, that was I think I hit a sore spot." And that just validated who Bob Lazar was. And I didn't visit him when he was up in the Upper Peninsula of the Michigan, the UP, or when he was outside of Albuquerque. But I was at his house a dozen or more times when I came to Vegas. I met with two people, John Lear and Bob Lazar. And in the process, knowing John Lear, I know George Knapp, and I know Gene Huff, and I know that whole crew. And I was aware, because Lear let me know that the person that George was interviewing was Bob, and he was a silhouetted head with an altered voice, and I think they called him Jared. And I think to myself, I know a celebrity. And because I didn't, John's just my friend. When he died here in 2023, I think it was, he still held 15 world aviation records that he achieved on his 16th birthday. He flew one of his dad's Lear jets solo. He had an FAI observer on board, but he flew around the world. And it was actually the round the world setup and everything. It was actually Arthur Godfrey was going to fly around the world, and he had set up fuel stops at all these locations around the world. And Bill Lear knew of them, so he went in about 2 weeks early and used up all the fuel and set the record of going around the world that John Lear still held at the time of his death. So Lear was one of the most interesting characters I've ever known. You didn't know if he was pulling your leg. You weren't know if he was pissed at you or whatever, until he couldn't hold back that twinkle in his eye, and then he burst out with this belly laugh. "I got you." I mean, it was John Lear. and I loved him dearly. And to watch him go from swashbuckling world aviation pioneer to his last couple, he started going downhill in 2015. And I didn't think he would make it through the end of the year, but Mary Lee, his then wife of 50 some odd years, myself and one other guy that was very close to John there in Vegas, we kidnapped him, brought him up to his Cutthroat mine, which was by road, it's about 120 miles from Vegas. As the crow flies, it's not quite 60 miles. Middle of nowhere, though. And what we did with Mary Lee, and the other guy's name was Jim as well, we went up there first before we got Lear. We found all his booze that he was hiding. And because he had been, I think he had lost his ticket he was fired from American Transair. That's another story that had to do with abductions. And when we got John up there was enough food for 2 months, and they put him up. There's no communication. The other Jim was there, and he had a radio that he could contact Mary Lee on, because there wasn't any cell phone coverage out there at the time, and pretty much saved his life, because he was drinking himself to death when he lost his job. He turned 60, and that's when everything just turned to snot. And that went on for almost 20 years, 19 years.
Switching from John Lear to Area 51, this has always been a place of interest for you, to the point where a number of years ago you actually tried to sneak in.
Well, I did. I mean, I snuck in about 3 miles from the north fence line. But in 1964, I was in the Air Force. I was active duty. I was a communications specialist. I had got a set of orders to go to Edwards Air Force Base in Southern California for Category 1 testing for 3 aircraft programs, flight test programs. The Lockheed Marietta YC-141 Starlifter, the North American Aviation XB-70 Valkyrie. That's a 6-engine Mach 3 white.
That's the one plane I've always wanted to see.
Dayton, Ohio has the only one. They have an SR-71 there. And if you were to be down there during the week, I could probably arrange for you to get your picture taken in the cockpit of the Blackbird. I can't remember her name.
I'm not going to lie. I might be too fat for that now, Jim.
No. I sat in the A-12 when I was at 375 pounds. So I'm 185 right now. I fit in it. You should fit in it. And if not, we get a pin and I'm serious.
The butter never hurt.
I can't remember, for whatever reason, I can't remember her name. I was on a podcast with her. She was out of the Boston area, and she got married, and she moved to Dayton, Ohio. And I told her, I said, when she got married, she said her husband had a house in Dayton and he has a job there. He's a computer guy. I said, well, next time I pass through town, because I do that on a irregular basis, let me know in advance. I'll let you, and I'll know I'll see if I can get you in the cockpit of the Blackbird. She thought I was feeding her a line of crap, and I said, meet me on, I think it was the 22nd of August, 2023. And I called her up and I said, meet me at the main entrance of the Air Force Museum at 8:00, because the place doesn't open up till 9. And she thought I was still pulling her leg until I was standing at the door as her and her daughter walked in. The director was there to greet her and her daughter. Why can't I remember her name? It drives me nuts. And big hullabaloo. We went down into the main gallery. The canopies, both the front and back cockpit, were open. There were the crew, the crew ladder platform was the B. It's a B1 stand, I think it is, or B2 stand. I say, well, since I'm this near and dear to a Blackbird, I have to get in first. So I got my picture taken in there, and then Nicole got in there and I got her picture taken, and her daughter did. And I don't think was it Nicole? Yeah, maybe. You couldn't have slapped the grin off her face. She says, "I thought you were shitting me." I said, "I didn't think. I thought you were just trying to impress me with a line of crap, but it was real." And her husband Dave was so pissed that because she said, "You want to come with me?" And I don't know if this is a ruse or not. And he said, "No, I have to load some software. We're doing something at work today, and I shouldn't take the day off." He was so upset that she got her picture taken in the cockpit, and very, very happy. But I could do that. Hopefully I could do the same for you if you were in Dayton.
Maybe.
It would have to be during the week because the director of facilities is a Marine friend of mine.
Right.
And he drives a green Jeep pickup truck, 4-door, with almost exactly like, oh, come on. It's not going to work. I'm just too tired. But Apollo, the steers, she drives a green Jeep with a alien silhouette on the doors, and my buddy I think just has it on his license plate. So
well, we got 2 minutes to go before we have to go to break here. Why is there such a mystique with Area 51, Jim?
Because officially you can't get anybody to say that it really does exist. I mean, they would call it Elvis's house, or I'd call it the box. And when Bill Park crashed the Have Blue, he bailed out, got knocked out, got drugged through the desert by his parachute because he's unconscious, and he's filling his mouth up with dirt. If it wasn't for the fact that the helicopter was there, and the paramedic rescue guys got all the stuff out of his throat and got him breathing again. But he was in hospital there in Las Vegas, and when they were interviewing him, he wouldn't say what he was flying. He said, "But I was flying something that was interesting, and it's a place you can't get there from here." That's how he described Area 51. But everything about the base is shrouded in secrecy. My email, which is Area 51, gets a lot of interest when it's passed around at the Skunk Works. This is back during Kelly Johnson and Ben Rich days. And I was blessed I think because of John Andrews from Testers, I was blessed that Ben Rich became my pen pal. I mean, we spoke on the phone or wrote a letter or two. He'd usually call me, or if I was at work, I would call him on the company's dime, because back then there weren't cell phones, and calls during the day were really expensive. But we talked out once a quarter for over 20 years. And I'll get into that when we cross the threshold.
Let's do that, Jim. We're going to take a break right now with Jim Goodall, legendary aviation historian, a man just inducted into the United States Aviation Hall of Fame, great friend of this show. And it's all about Area 51 in hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio, coming up next.
This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
All right, Jimmy, let's turn this thing over to Dirty Filth here.
That's cool.
There's Alan going to the beach. Apparently, he's good at surfing as well.
I like it. It's cute.
You're
I mean, I've always enjoyed your artwork, and I have a little one and then a bigger one from you.
I gotta make sure I come out to the Vegas thing next time because I still have this guy here.
Oh yes.
Let your old pal Jim take a quick spin in the UFO. Jim, I really can't afford to get fired.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I have a space on my wall. I don't have much space, but I have a space on my wall. I would put that, and that one there, and the other one I already have. Do a little, 3-panel. I have to get up and.
Yeah, no worries. I'll just ramble around here for a little bit.
When I came here, I thought I brought enough stuff, but I just went my backpack, and I ran out of skivvies this morning. And
I had to wear them 4 times, right? Inside, outside, front, and back.
Yeah, but it's hard when you have it flipped around the back, and you really have to go and oh shit. So okay. I have to take it out of the dryer, so I'll be right back. It's about 2 seconds.
Yeah, no worries.
I'll be there.
Hey Vaughn. Yes. Whenever you're good to go, I will go and devour some chicken wings with you. This drawing is part of special project where there may possibly be more alien plushies available of Carl, Stanton, and an Allen. I'm not sure yet. I'll have to consult with my adjunct. So it was kind of neat, Jim talking about F-117 because that's one of my favorite aircrafts. The F-117, the ME-262, and pretty much any variation of the Su-35. But definitely the F-117 is my favorite airplane, hands down. Actually, when I was at Vegas the one year, I got to sit there and talk with Jim for a bit about it. It was cool. I was lucky.
It didn't take very long.
Excellent.
Yeah. So now I won't offend everybody on the airplane.
That's all right.
Yeah.
They're pretty tough. They're tough. Yeah. It's also like freshly put on socks. Nothing feels good as like freshly pulled up socks.
Yeah. These are, I just, like I said, I am just so rummy. I'm surprised I'm able to even talk. I'm gonna take a cetamurl pill. I don't. I have to take this. I've never taken it before, but I have to take the light rail from the north end of the Seattle area, all the way to SeaTac, which is south of downtown. He said,
"Hey, Jim." Sorry.
And, and they said, "Well, does it stop at the airport?" I said, "Yeah, that's the end of the route." So I'll be getting a tour of the Seattle skyline from an elevated position, and it goes through the side, part of downtown, around the various ballparks, by Boeing Field, where the Museum of Flight is, and then off to the airport. So it's gonna be a fun adventure tomorrow, and I get to go home.
Nothing's better than getting home.
No, and my wife has early onset Alzheimer's. She can function very, very good for a couple of days. And this thing coming up here to help my best friend. Not many people have friends that they can say have been my friend for almost 65 years. It's 64. We met on September 9th, 1962 at Building 296 at Lowry Air Force Base, Denver, Colorado. The most fun I've ever had in my life. It was a target-rich environment. I was 17. I just turned 17 when I joined the service. Matter of fact, my 17th birthday, it was at the Armed Forces Induction Center. It was that or go to jail till I was 18. As an incorrigible youth. I mean, one of my claims to fame, and its statute of limitations is such that they could never catch me. But myself and two of my friends, we borrowed a train and took it down to San Jose, about 14, 15 miles. There's about 10 cars to it. They didn't lock the switches back then, and we'd been playing on it. It was the weekend. It was a north-south track, and Rusty said, "Hey, the cab's not locked." We got in, brake wheelers, engines running. They ran, they just parked them and let them run back then. So moved the switch, got on the main line, put the switch back, and then barreled down to San Jose. We played down there forever. We're 10 and 11 years old.
All right, hold on right there, boys. Good night, Dirty Filth. Thank you for your awesomeness.
Everybody. Have a good night, Jim.
Hey,
have a safe
thank you
trip
to
home.
Von Patrick.
It was good seeing your handiwork.
Thank you to Von Patrick and Area 53 for our great super chats. More of Area 51 with Jim Goodall coming up here in a second. Space Radio. Hey, I want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Gabbro. Gabbro is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Jim Goodall is here, aviation historian, member of the United States Aviation Hall of Fame, a recent inductee. Jim is talking about Area 51. Jim, we talk about Area 51 being unique. We talk about it being special. We talk about things that could be hidden there, from aliens to UFOs to secret craft put together by the government agencies and contractors out there. What do you think is at Area 51?
Well, I had the honor to interview Dave Fruhoff. He was an SR-71 pilot. And my dad was head of engineering for one of the big projects at the Arnold Air Force Base in Tullahoma, Tennessee. And he was there doing all the instrumentation on their new high-altitude rocket engine test chamber. But 11 miles from my dad's place is Lynchburg, Tennessee, the home of Jack Daniels. And Dave Fruhoff, when he retired from the Air Force, he got a new job. And that's why I was going to talk to him about it. He, because of his clearance and because of what he did, and he was one of the earlier Blackbird pilots, he got a job as a facility manager at Area 51. So I called him up. I said, "Hey, can I come out and talk with you?" And he said, "Sure, come on down." And went down there, and he looked like a retired Marine colonel. Yeah, he always had a buzz job head, short, real short. And he just looked like a Marine colonel, but a nice guy. And we were talking about, he had to bail out of a Blackbird, had a total electrical failure, and that's why I went to interview him for him. And I said, "Hey, Dave," he said, "do you believe in UFOs?" And without hesitation, he said, "Absolutely, positively do exist." I said, "You want to expand upon that?" He said, "Sure." I mean, that blew me away. And his story was that he was on a night mission flying an SR-71 out of the 9th Strategic Reconnaissance Wing, Detachment 1 at Kadena Air Base, Okinawa. And he was over flying North Vietnam. And he said he had already finished his track over the target area, got everything they wanted. And it's about 11 o'clock at night. He's at 78,000 feet. He's at Mach 2.7, three-quarter moon off to the left side of the aircraft. And all of a sudden, he gets a glint of something reflective. It didn't have sharp edges. It wasn't something that was round. It had edges, and they were smooth edges, I guess you call it. But it was a reflective surface. He couldn't tell if it was metallic or if it was just shiny paint or ceramics or whatever. So he got on secure voice, and he called Kadena and said, do we have another bird up? I said, no, you're up there by yourself. You weren't briefing. So I got company. I'm going to go take a look. So and he was flying at Mach 2.7. And the reason why he flies at Mach 2.7, it's only about 20% of the thermal stress on the systems than going at Mach 3.2. When you fly a Blackbird at Mach 3.2 at 85,000 feet, within 22 minutes, the overall average temperature of the airframe is 520 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hotter than your wife's or girlfriend's or mother's broiler. And so you slow down. And the airplane just likes to fly fast anyway. So he's an absolute minimum afterburner. So he does about a 10-degree bank. He gives it throttle, and he's starting to climb. This object, he figures, is 4,000 to 5,000 feet, maybe a little higher than that, above him, and 5 or 6 miles off to his right. So he's accelerating. He's not taking his eye off the object, and he's just sort of heading up that way. Figured when he was about a mile away and maybe 1,000 feet below, this thing took off at about a 30-degree angle of attack, and he lost sight of it because the moon was so bright. He lost sight of it going between 180 and 200,000 feet is what he figured. He didn't say what his briefing was when he got back to Kadena. He didn't talk about that, but he did say once he got to Area 51, once he retired in 78. In 79, he got a job with EG&G, and it turns out that he ended up going to work at Area 51 as facility manager, and said, you don't go to a place like that and start asking questions, because as soon as you do, you're out of here. So he said he was there 5 years. He retired as he retired as a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force, and 5 years with as a government contract. He did well. And after about a year, he's at the club or the gathering spot in the evenings, or it may be in the middle of the night at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. They were just all having a cigarette and shooting the bull. And he asked a couple guys, he said, did we ever fly anything out of here that went Mach 8 or Mach 12? The guy said, no. He said, well, how about, is there any other place out here that, would flight test something like that? And everybody said no. So he said, it wasn't swamp gas. I saw it with my own eyes. My backseater, my reconnaissance system operator saw it. And if he'd had even an iPhone 1, he could have gotten a photograph of it. But you don't carry that stuff with you when you're flying a spot. The cameras are on the airplane, but he's not going to go inverted to try to take a picture of whatever this thing is. So are UFOs real? I'd have to say, based on what Dave Fruhoff said, yeah. So let's go back to Area 51. I'm at Edwards Air Force Base. I'm there to support 3 programs, like I said earlier. And that was for Category 1 test. I was responsible for the installation and troubleshooting of ground-based telemetry. And on the morning of February 29th, it was a Saturday, something came into Edwards Air Force Base that set off all the fire alarms on the flight line. 2 Blackbirds had come in from Area 51, and they came in and parked with the engines still running, but the engines were pointing towards their open hangar. And the heat got so warm in the hangar, the deluge system dumped between 60 and 80,000 gallons of water in just a few seconds to put any fire out. Yeah, and one or two of the Lockheed guys almost drowned. There was so much water coming in. And it turned out, and that's what set off the alarms. So the billeting's 8 miles from the flight line. I ran out to where my truck was, and it was gone. Someone had already taken it. So shit. So I heard something really loud the following week, March 10th, 1964. It's about 3:15 in the afternoon. I'm taking a shuttle plane from Edwards Air Force Base to Hawthorne, California, suburb of LA. Northrop has their headquarters there. And they would fly an Italian Piaggio. It's a gull wing pusher, I think flat 6-cylinder air-cooled engine. It wasn't a turbine back then. This is 64. But something was blowing dust across Rogers Dry Lake. So I ran down the taxiway and I looked to the north where the XB-70 test pad was, and I thought it was the X-15. It's black, but the people were too small. And all of a sudden they said, "Hey, we're loading the planes." I ran back up. That's when I could run. My new knees don't allow me to run anymore. Get in the airplane. It's 2 rows of seats. All the seats are window, all the seats are aisle. So get in there, and I'm sitting where I have a good view. It's a high wing, so I don't have to look through the wing. Thing took off over Rogers Dry Lake and banked over. I'm looking straight down on top of a 105-foot long YF-12 Blackbird interceptor. They built 3 of them. It came out before the SR-71, and it was a big brother to the A-12, the CIA airplane. And I'm looking at it, and I joined the Air Force because I love airplanes. And I looked at it, I couldn't believe my eyes. And I was gone for the whole week. Sunday, I get back. It was Easter week. It was Easter break in Newport Beach. My grandmother lived in Laguna Beach. And I was going to go out that Friday night and have a really good time. And Grandma decided, no, you're going to get in trouble, so I'm going to set you up with a blind date. Turned out to be a great date, but that's another story. So once I got back, I saw this incredible airplane. 4 days later, I think it was on a Thursday. They said, we have to fly you somewhere to troubleshoot something at another location. Okay, so we're in a Fairchild F-27, turboprop, high wing. It's a commuter airplane. And we took off. Windows were, I don't think they were painted over, but the covers were screwed down so you couldn't open them. We flew off. When we landed, I know we're still out in the desert because I can look out I can see the cockpit windows, and same color as when we left Edwards. I think it may have been a 90-minute flight, maybe even less than that. We land, we taxi up to a hangar, and this security guy steps inside the airplane. And he said, when you get out of the airplane, you look straight ahead, don't look around, there's nothing to see, and go straight into the hangar. And they had 3 buses on either side of us, bumper to bumper, where you couldn't see anything. So we're in there, installed the equipment. We're there for about 5 hours. I had box lunches, so we didn't have to go anywhere to eat. So I didn't get a chance to see anything. And I didn't know, no one, the word Area 51 hadn't been coined yet, at least the general public. It was a super secret flight test facility. And after about 5 hours, we went back, just reversed what we did, went back to the F-27. We weren't allowed to look around. And we got in the airplane. We flew back to Edwards. It wasn't until probably 1970s, 20 years, 25 years that I realized, shit, I was in Area 51. But that's not my only time I've been there. In the 1990s, I was more brazen than I am today. And the fraud that I was married to at the time, she was a fairly good seamstress. And I wanted to snoop on the government. I wanted to get as close to the flight line at Area 51 as I could. And she had made, I'd gotten 2 survival blankets, the ones that are day glow orange on one side and luminized on the other. And she sewed them together, and then she put a quilt pattern on some infrared suppressive desert camouflage and made a poncho for me. So if for some reason I'm deaf in one ear completely on this 0 hearing and only about 40% range here because I've been around airplanes. So I was really spooked out about not being able to hear the helicopter. I wanted to be the smallest infrared signature as you can get. And if I had heard something, I would just fold the poncho over myself and crouch down. And I would just blend in. I mean, I've been in a helicopter looking at, with a buddy of mine, looking for people out in the desert. And we knew we were there. We couldn't see them. They just blended too well. So I went in about there. I don't know what they're called, but there's just bumps I have to go through off the side of the mountain. I think, just debris flow from rock slides and whatever over the eons. I went over about 4 of these and I realized I probably still had another 10 miles to go, and it was 30 degrees and I was sopping wet. I'm looking around. I'm really, really wary what I am, because they probably wouldn't be very kind to me. So I turned around and headed back, and I felt much better, but I was sopping wet. I probably lost 10 pounds when I was out there. Now, there was a group of us guys that went out in the desert in the night, starting in 89 up through about 99. It all came to a halt on 9/11, but because security went from over here to who knows where. It was just a special place. But one of the guys is, we called him Agent X. I think he's a special forces guy. He was a sniper, all sorts of other stuff. And he had a sniper suit. He looked like a tumbleweed. He spent 3.5 days. He crawled into Area 51 from Freedom Ridge. He crossed down real low for a good part of the distance, and then he crawled the rest of the way. At one time, he said he was within probably 150 yards of the runway. And there was vehicles going down the side of the runway. You could hear the guys talking on the radio. He spent the nights out there. He ate out there, and he said it was a real challenge when he had to go to the bathroom. But after 3.5 days, he had worked his way all the way back out. He said he didn't see anything, but it was a hell of an adventure, and he said he wouldn't do it again. It was just too stressful. So that,
Jim, we have 5 minutes to go before we have to go to break. And I have to tell you, my highlight of the entire trip to Las Vegas, when we went out to Area 51 at the Little Alien in Rachel, Nevada, was watching you light up like a kid on Christmas morning when you're looking at the pictures on the wall, and all of a sudden you came across one of your photos of an SR-71 inside a C-5 Galaxy. And your reaction was absolutely priceless to everyone that was there. And I mean, it's just absolutely incredible that, I mean, all of a sudden you were like, hey, that's my photo. That's my photo. That's my Blackbird. It was great. Did you expect to see it there?
No, I'd been in there multiple times, since the turn of the century. And it was behind a rack, sort of, and it was down low. And I was just looking at everything because I knew a lot of people whose faces were up there. I knew them. And I saw that and I said, I know that photo. I took it. And I opened it up. I took it off the wall, and most of the ink had faded, but you could see my scribble in there. And it was to Joe and Pat Travis, Little Alien, and the date, and then cheers, Jim Goodall. That was a lot of fun seeing it. And
the young lady who was behind the diner counter, I mean, I thought she was going to give you a big hug. It was almost like winning the lottery there for a second, because she was like, really? And then you're telling her the story about how you had to get the Blackbird and you packed it in the C5 Galaxy in order to move it into the museum that you were getting it for. I mean, she was pumped right up about it.
I was so tired, I wasn't even aware of that. I mean, on the way back, I think I slept a good part of it. I was just so beat, But then I stayed up, another 5 hours or whatever it is once we got back to Vegas, and sitting around. Was the Mardi Gras bar area? That was fun. And it was fun seeing some of the guys I haven't seen in a number of years. Random guy showed up. He said specifically because he wanted to shake my hand, because the last couple of times I've been in Vegas, I stayed with him. I hate paying $300 a night for a bed. I don't gamble and I don't drink, but it was a gas. I'm looking forward to next year. Next year we're going to Tonopah Test Range.
I'm in.
And
I'm totally in. But just the fact that you're in a place like that where literally tens of thousands of people visit the Little Alien every year. What's it like having your photograph up there?
Well, I mean, I spent so much time there in the 90s. I mean, we helped. Stu Brown's a very dear friend of mine, and he was the senior technical editor for Popular Science. And March 1994, he did an issue on Area 51. The front cover of the Popular Science book was Area 51 at night. And we were on top of Whitesides. It was 21 degrees with probably a 10 or 15 knot wind. And we spent the whole night up there. Two guys I couldn't stand it being up there. And Tom Luttrell and I can't remember the other guy. But Bob Gilliland was with us on top of Whiteside. There was a picture. We had to set up my tripod as far back as we could without falling off the top of the mountain. And there's a shot of Stu Brown, Jim Goodall, Tom Luttrell, who was the commandant of the Tulare Police Department. There was Glenn Campbell, who ran the Area 51 Research Center. Bob Gilliland, the first guy to fly the SR-71, ran up that 2,000 feet up to the top because I had invited him. And then there was John Andrews from Testers. And out of those 6 guys, there's only 2 of us still alive, Stu Brown and myself. And Bob Gilliland said, I haven't seen this place in 25 years. It's grown. And it was a time and a place that doesn't exist anymore. You can't do what we did. Hell, I scrounged 2 C5s and a CIA Blackbird as a sergeant, and we'll get into the.
Let's go to break here, Jim. We have Jim Goodall for the next half hour. We're going to try and squeeze in audience questions as well.
You know, when you're
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, Jimmy, we're clear.
Well, I was saying when you're given one of the radio part of it, I all I hear is just a little bit of noise. I can't.
I
hear
know.
what you're saying.
We're trying to fix that. We're trying to fix that. It's an annoyance, big time to me. Yeah, sounds perfect on the podcast side. It's just on this side here.
Yeah, but and you know, and what tickles me when I'm talking with you or those of us who share this passion, the time just goes. And we were already talking. I've already been talking for 90 minutes.
I know.
And I had to laugh. Someone, it was a while back, said, when you're talking about the Blackbird, how long can you talk? I said, well, the minimum 45 minutes. So what's the maximum? I said, I lose my voice after about 10 hours. And I've been blessed by some of the people that have come into my life because of my passion for aviation and things that go bump in the night. I mean, I met John Lear because of it. I met Bob Lazar because of it. I met George Knapp because of it. I've became friends with Ben Rich. I have literally all the presidents or vice president general manager of the Skunk Works. I know. There's been 11 of them, and I've talked to 7 of them. Now there's 12. I haven't talked to the new guy, but it's. Who am I? I'm just a guy who likes airplanes, and I'm a big fan of things that go bump in the night, and that's all I am. And but it keeps me young, and then you throw in a Nicole, and I just what can I say? You still there, Nicole? Give
She's
Dave
still
a
in the
thumb.
chat room.
Oh, okay.
She's still listening in.
Good.
She loves her little Jimmy Goodall.
Yeah. She's the first time I saw her, I almost walked into a wall, but that was our first thing at the Gold Nugget.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I'd probably describe the form-fitting dress she was wearing. But that's another story.
I think that if you want to make Nicole melt, I think if you wore a fedora next time you saw her, she would literally melt.
Well, I have one. I've had it since before. I mean, I've had it forever. It's in my first wife's front closet, unless she fed it to the dog. It was there not that many decades ago, but. Next year, I'll try to remember to wear a fedora, and I'll get a black suit with a black shirt and a white tie.
Yes, we got about 2 minutes, Jim.
Okay, all right. I'm looking forward to going home. I
don't blame you.
I love my friends. I love seeing people I haven't seen in a long time. But I got to get.
By the way, before Tim closed the window here, did you hear the coyotes going crazy here on the?
No. I hear those at home all the time.
Yeah, they were like right next door. Yeah.
Yeah, because we have behind my house is a wildlife corridor, and then there's a grove of trees. And everything in the desert has spines. I don't know how these critters can walk through there without getting jabbed and whatever, but they just walk by this stuff. It's second nature. Oh, there's that one. Yeah.
Look at that. Dave is an idiot, Jim. Don't ever grow a beard.
I couldn't grow a beard if my life depended on it.
Wow.
It took me the first time I grew a mustache, I think it took me 6 weeks before anybody noticed it. And then I had it for 21 years, and it was by then, it was pretty good. But then it started turning white, and when it turned white, I decided, I'm going to shave it. But I probably for 40 years of my life, I had a mustache. I could not grow a beard if my life depended. I have nothing here. In my neck, I hit a little bit.
Wow.
And,
Hold that thought, Jimmy. We're coming back in 30
right.
seconds. Big thank you tonight to Von Patrick at Area 53 for our great super chats. We appreciate the love. And we're going to get to some audience questions here for Jim. Lightwalkers, how you doing? Amber's Paraworld, good to see you. And we're coming back in about 10 seconds.
Ooh.
Second we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, our archives are always free. Why? Because I want them that way for all of you out there, YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Jim Goodall, legendary aviation historian, is here. We have until the top of the hour. Jimmy, thank you so much for being here tonight, my friend.
Well, you know I love you, and I feel so at home in everybody from SOR that I run into, and I enjoy it. I enjoy their company. I look forward to. Or now it's been 5 years now. We've had an annual gathering. I've made them all.
Yeah, you have.
And
yeah, you have.
And I will make next year too. So, but
we look forward to it.
We
look forward to it.
It's a good,
you know what? When we put it together, literally the first question everybody asks is Jim Goodall coming?
But you know what cracks me up? Everybody seems to know who I am. I went to visit a friend of mine that I sort of helped him put his life back together. He saw a bunch of nasty stuff in Kosovo when he was a young guy, and he went off the edge. But he was an incredible sheet metal guy. But his name's Craig. I won't give his last name. But he was. I was over at his house a couple nights ago, and he says, I was talking to my neighbor, and my neighbor said, "You said you know Jim Goodall." I said, "Yeah, I've known Jim Goodall since 1999. Really?" He said, "Yeah." And so when I was at Craig's house, he called the house and said, because the kid, it's the mom of the house. He said she's seen everything that I've been on, which I doubt, because I've been on a lot of stuff that I can't even say I've seen again. But it's I have a name recognition. And I've been around for a long time. What gets me is I was invited to one MUFON function in Las Vegas. It was before COVID, and I haven't been invited to any of the other ones. And I see some of the people that are there, and it's the same. It's the same old stuff. There's nothing new. And and it seems like podcasts are coming and going now. Maybe because they're not Dave Scott. But I enjoy this. I enjoy the freedom to talk about stuff that I love. And as everybody knows, I scrounged a Blackbird. And the funny thing about it is no one believes I could pull it off. That's one of the reasons I was inducted into the Aviation Hall of Fame, because of what I was capable of doing when everybody said, "Nah, he'll never pull it off. He's full of shit." And I have to ding that. This is August of 1989. I get a call from Ben R. Rich. He is the president of the Lockheed Skunk Works. I had a conversation with him for, like I said, off and on for but once a quarter for 20 years. And we were getting a Blackbird. We weren't getting any Blackbird. We were getting article number 128, which was the 8th Blackbird built. It was an A-12. It was going to be one of the operational birds if the program had continued. And it was the one used for envelope expansion. And when we got the word, I managed to get the entire Minnesota congressional delegation to sign off on it. 5 Democrats and 5 Republicans that have never agreed on anything before or since. And so everything's going together. I'm a tech sergeant, E6. There's a lot of us out there that at that rank, we sort of get things done. We aren't really in charge of much. I'm over at the museum during the week, and the phone rings. I answer it. Minnesota Air Guard Museum, Sergeant Goodall. I said, "This is Colonel So-and-so, Secretary of the Air Force's Office of Public Affairs. I want to speak to the officer in charge of the Blackbird recovery for the Minnesota Air Guard." I said, "You're speaking to him?" I said, No, I want to speak to the officer involved." I said, "Colonel, Monday through Friday, I'm a vice president, general manager of a industrial controls company. It's my program. How can I help you? Who do I talk to about getting someone out there, get me out there, and a photographer and a video guy?" I said, "You go up to security, you ask for Glenna Farley, and you say, Sergeant Goodall said it was okay for me to come out and film the loading of the Blackbird into the C-5. And you knew he just had to hate to ask that permission once he got to Lockheed. But the funny thing about Glenna Farley, after we were assigned the Blackbird, I called up, I think it was Laney Jenkins was the general manager there. I called him up, and Lanny said, "Do you want to go see your bird?" I said, "Yeah, I do." So, "Well, next time you're heading this way, give me a buzz. We'll make arrangements for us to." They had parked him out in the middle of the airport complex there at Palmdale. So I'm going to the new Skunk Works for the first time. The security building is outside the perimeter. I walk in. There's a long counter, the buzzer. I can hear people, behind the wall. The door's open, but I can't see anybody. And I press the buzzer, and I hear a female voice. "Who's there?" I said, "Jim Goodall." Dead silence. "The Jim Goodall?" I said, "Well, there's 5 of us. 2 of them are passed. My grandfather, my dad. Then we have myself, my son James, who was, I think, 14 or 15 at the time. No, he had a little boy, so he had to be 19. I have a brand new grandson named James, but I'm probably the guy you're talking about." So she came around the corner and she looked at me, and she just looked me up and down. She says, "You're not the 800-pound gorilla that you've been made out to be." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I've been in security for 21 years. I heard your name my first week at Lockheed. And I've heard your name in briefings about once a quarter for the last 20 or so years." Now, so that's probably when Ben Rich would have to log in that he spoke to Jim Goodall for X number of minutes or whatever, or on this time. And she said, "I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't seen it. If I hadn't seen you with my own eyes." So that was one of the fun things about being a friend of Ben Rich. It got me into places. I went and visited him at the Skunk Works. The Skunk Works people could not talk about the little unmanned Blackbird, the D-21 drone. It was codenamed Tagboard. When they were designing it and flight testing it, it was more classified than the Manhattan Project. And I got a vacuform, a 1/4-inch, 1/48 scale vacuform of a D-21 drone. And I made a stand for it. I got a plaque engraved. And my friend at Dayton Hudson Corporation, which is now Target, he was director of media. I got a Skunk Works little skunk in behind some Lexan, and embedded into this plaque in a clear piece of 1/2-inch rod, plastic rod. That was holding it up. And I told him, I said, Ben, I have a present for you. And this is, I'm thinking it's late 80s, maybe earlier. I'm in there. I have, my name was I was able to come in the parking lot, and I'm holding this box as I walk into the Skunk Works. And every old guy saw it. I mean, some of them probably had to see their chiropractor later on that day because they whipped around so fast. They get whiplash. And I'm sitting there holding it. And then when Ben came in, we came into his office. He was thrilled to have it. And there was 3 things on his credenza. And right in the middle was my D-21 drone. And I was in Kelly Johnson's old office with Ben Rich for about 45 minutes. And he pulls out this 20 by 30 print of the 10 Blackbirds all lined up in a row. They were 8 A-12s and 2 YF-12s. And I mean, I said, whoa. He said, I just wanted to prove to you that we built more than one of them. And then he put the photo back. A week later, John Andrews and Jim Goodall received a letter or a package from the Central Intelligence Agency. How convenient this was, that they were going through some of our files, and we found some photos that we may have been of interest to you. And it was a Blackbird with the drone on it, which is at the Museum of Flight here in Seattle, and some other shots of the A-12s. And it just tickled me that it did that. But my mind just went. But it was a Ben Rich. I'll go back to just before Ben Rich died, and I know I've said this, told you before. I called Ben Rich. He was at USC Medical Center. He's dying of esophageal cancer. This is like 96 time frame. And I called him up because he was an old friend. And we shared the same love of the Skunk Works. And as we were talking near the end of it, we were talking about our mutual friend, John Andrews. He had real high regard for John and high regard for his brain. But Ben said directly to me, and about dropped the phone because because of who it came from. He said, Jim, we had things out in the desert, and he wasn't referring to Area 51. He said, we had things out in the desert that's 50 years beyond what you can comprehend. Now listen, I can comprehend a hell of a lot. I have a pretty vivid imagination. And he said, if you see movies like Star Trek or Star Wars, we've been there, done that, or decided it wasn't worth the effort. I said, Ben, you want to expand upon that? He said, no. And then the son of a bitch had a nerve to die on me for 10 days later. But as a postscript to that comment, right after he retired, I think it was 92 or 93, he was a keynote speaker for the aeronautics school, graduate school at UCLA. And he was there talking about the Skunk Works and what he did. And one of the things, and it was part of his prepared text, and Michael Schratt has a copy of that prepared text somewhere. Michael has done an incredible job of gathering information on things that go bump in the night. And he told all these graduate students, we have the ability today, take ET home. Think about that statement.
Mm-hmm.
20 plus years ago, almost 30 years ago, Ben Rich said, we have the ability today, but our government and other governments will not allow the information to be released. So is Bob Lazar real? I would bet everything I have that he is. I've never doubted him.
Did you ever ask Ben Rich about Bob Lazar?
Yeah. I think I did, but I don't think I did. But I've asked a number of people who've been at the Skunk Works if they knew of Bob Lazar. Dave Fruhoff asked some guys who'd been there when Bob was there, do you ever recall a guy named Bob Lazar flying into Area 51 in one of the Janet flights? And a number of guys confirmed that there was a guy fitting that description named Bob Lazar, who had been on a Janet flight into Area 51, but then they would get on a bus and go somewhere else. They weren't at the test site, as they referred to it. So it was probably at S4. And the other thing, now we're talking about S4. It's going to be the world premiere sometime this summer. It's going to be it's a product of Canada. Luigi Venatelli out of Montreal has been working with Bob for the last couple of years, putting together the most high-tech, realistic history of the UFOs at S4. And Bob has a photographic memory. Anything he saw or read, he can recall. And they have put together some. Bob, I talked to Bob right after. Luigi sent him some finalized clips, maybe a minute or 2 minutes long, of in the hangar. He said it was so realistic. He got goosebumps and he could almost smell the hangar. Apparently, it had a certain fragrance about, I don't know if it was solvents, keeping things clean or whatever, but it had a real specific smell. And he said, I could almost smell it. And the thing that's fun about it, I'm listed as a technical advisor because I talked to Luigi for about 4 hours, I think, on a video on StreamYard, or one of the face-to-face talkies, and I had all sorts of stuff that he needed. So I'm listed in the credits as a technical advisor to Bob Lazar's the Bob Lazar story, and I'm getting a handful. I don't know how many I'm going to get, but I'm going to get a number of VIP tickets, and I'm going to be in the front row for the world premiere, and it will be in Las Vegas. And Luigi has been trying to get it the world premiere at the Sphere in Las Vegas, but I don't know if he's been successful. That thing is pretty popular, but very pricey. That'd be a hell of a place to have a Bob Lazar UFO movie, especially it's in 6K, and it's so real. Mm-hmm. Bob said it's so realistic, the pieces he's seen. He says it just tickles him. Yes.
Jim, we got a bunch of questions from our audience and only 6 minutes left. So let's get to some of these as quickly as we can here. Let's start off with Nicole here. Jim, have you ever encountered or uncovered counterintelligence agents or misinformation during your career?
Yeah. There's guys who specialize in that. And so, yeah, I don't know any of them personally, but I know I've seen a number of them in action, and yes, it irritates me. If it's what's for national security, bullshit. It's because someone doesn't want anybody looking at what they're building, or maybe because they're wasting money. Who knows? And Joe Monk says, "Is the U-2 considered stealth?"
Is the U-2 considered stealth, or just badass that it's still flying?
It's badass that it's still flying. And back in the day when it overflew the Soviet Union, they had nothing that could get to 70,000 feet. That was the operating limit for the U-2, the early U-2s. The U-2R and the U-2S, which are flying today, they have a glass cockpit. They don't have any of the steam gauges anymore. The electronics are far superior. But it's still it's a big sailplane with edges. So it does give a pretty good sized radar return where you're looking at it. But it's flying up here, and the radar is looking down here. So they have to be looking for you. They have to be pointing up, looking for you to find out where they're at. And back in the 50s and 60s, you had to you would actually have to hit them. Now, when Francis Gary Powers was shot down, he wasn't shot down by a missile that blew him out of the sky at 70,000 feet. He had a flame out, and he was dropping altitude to get heavier air to help with the restart of the engine, and he was on his way back up when a surface-to-air missile, probably an SA-2, detonated behind him and broke his elevators on his tail, horizontal tail assembly. He lost control of the airplane, and in the process, one of the wings broke off right at the fuselage joint, and it's going around like this. There's no ejection seat in the early U-2s. You had to climb out. And so Powers opened the canopy, unhooked his harness, and he was thrown out. But he was still attached. His oxygen line and his comm and everything else is still attached. He had to pull himself back into the cockpit of the U-2, disconnect, and let go. And he landed in the middle of a field. They said the most terrifying part of the entire shoot down was when he landed. Some old farmer was out there, thought some alien had just landed in his field and almost ran him through with those big 3-pronged pitchforks. So he said he was actually more terrified once he was on the ground because when you're a test pilot, and that's what Powers was, he's used to operating in emergency situations because you take airplanes to the edge of their envelope, and if you go past them, bad things can happen. And bad things happen, you learn how to deal with it and whatever. So the U-2 is badass, and the Global Hawk can't replace it because it doesn't have the electrical power or the transmitting power. The only problem with the U-2s today is the endurance of the pilot. And that the guys who used to go down to Nicaragua, they fly out of Patrick. They'd be gone take off at 7 a.m. They'd be back by 1500 hours. So they're up in the air 8 hours, and they're sitting in an ejection seat, and you can't move. Your feet are in stirrups, which retract your legs if you eject, and it's very uncomfortable. But when we landed at Patrick, I was there for a couple of weeks with the Air Guard. The guy came on as we're in the crew bus and said, "Some of you may see a black airplane taking off here every once in a while. You're forbidden from photographing it." And everybody, we're still in the back of the C-130. Everybody in the airplane said, "Goodall, did you hear that?" So the first thing I did once we got settled, I had my brag book. I had 8x10 glossies of all sorts of everything, including U-2s, Blackbirds, and whatever. And I went over to the unit, which was, and I said, "Is the commander there?" And I said, "Yeah." So I said, and I can't remember the colonel's name, super guy, he looked like Paul Newman. I showed him the book, and he said, "Could you do me a favor?" And I said, "What's that? Do you have your camera here with your unit?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Could you please come out here tomorrow and be here about 14:45, which is 2:45 in the afternoon, and could you catch the U-2 landing with the Banana River behind it and the chase car or whatever?" And I said, "Oh, sure." And so the day happened. Chuck Mayer, who's since left us, and I were over there, and I saw my commander. At the time it was Major Carlson. I said, "Major Carlson, Chuck and I are going over to the U-2 operation over there at the south end of Patrick. We're going to photograph it as it landed." "You were forbidden." I said, "No, we were asked by the deck commander if we would do that for him," and he didn't believe me. So come on, I'm sure he'd be happy to have you out there with me. So here we go in, and the colonel was very, very nice to he was the captain at the time, and he just was basically talking to himself. He couldn't believe that this Goodall guy just pulled this off. We go there and shoot everything. As we pulled our cameras out, all of a sudden guns came down, pointers, and the commander says, "They can photograph anything and everything here."
Nice. Jim Goodall, everybody, on Spaced Out Radio. Coming up next, Swamp Dweller, Little Timmy James, UFO Report.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Is that okay for you?
Appreciate you, buddy. You're awesome. I'll
Well,
let you get some sleep.
I love being on Spaced Out Radio, and I
We
most
love you too, buddy.
most everything I do when I'm on the internet or whatever is at night, because I don't want to take my time away from Rosemary, during the evening. So every once in a while, I'll have a little bit of time to do something different from what I'm doing at the particular time, and I come on to Spaced Out Radio, and I always love the reactions. I mean, I'm just someone who just loves airplanes, and I know a lot of people, and I've done fun things, and I enjoy it. And like I told you guys when I was in Vegas, I feel comfortable with the SOR fans. I really do. They're my
There you
people,
go.
and I love them. I enjoy it, and yeah, I'll have to keep that to myself.
All right, buddy. I got to run here, but we'll talk soon, okay?
All right, you take care and stay safe, stay healthy,
Will do.
and I love you.
Love you too, buddy.
All right, take care.
Good night. Jim Goodall, everybody. We'll be right back. Hey there, Grantavius Maximus. How are you? Thank you to our super chatters, Vaughn and Area 53 tonight. Greatly appreciated. I apologize I didn't get to more questions, but when Jim gets going, I really don't like to cut him off. All right. Grant, how's your mustache? Please give us an update. How about them Oilers tonight, people? Uh-huh. One more. We need one more win to move on to round 3. Mr. Cowley, welcome back to the show. Oh, Mr. Cowley loves his spaced out radio. All right, here we go, everybody. It's hour number 3 of Spaced Out. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Gabbro. Gabbro is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. In May 2022, I worked at a gas station and truck stop in a small town outside of Houston in Dallas. For most of my time working there, I was a night shift employee from 3 to 11 p.m. To make this short, let me add a little background on the business and some minor details about the town I was in. The town is rather small and rural. The closest shopping center is quite a few hours away, and one of the only grocery stores in town is Dollar General. The store I worked at was right next to an interstate that went throughout Texas, so we got a lot of customers, especially on weekends. We typically saw a lot of truckers, churchgoers, and people traveling with their little league teams. Now that the basics are covered, I can tell you about the events that took place that May. On May 12th, around 1:50 p.m., I got ready for work. It was a typical day, thus far until I got an emergency alert stating, "Escaped armed convict male." This was strange, considering the nearest prison to me was an all-female prison and was more than 45 minutes away. Despite the alert, everyone was still required to attend their shift. 3 o'clock rolls around and we're all standing around the break room waiting to clock in. I remember everyone being super on edge, people whispering about the Amber Alert, trying to get more details about what was happening. Nonetheless, we got to work. Typically, we get 2 breaks that were about 15 minutes each, equating to 30 minutes in total. This was awful, but we made do. This isn't really important, but it does add context. We were not allowed to go outside for our breaks due to the alert and for our safety. The night shift crew was hands down the best group of people to work with, but on the first night of the unpleasant week, it was not the A-team. Once we clocked in, it was like there was a floodgate that opened for all the police and TDCJ, Texas Department of Criminal Justice officers, to come in. We had hundreds and hundreds of people coming in for some barbecue sandwiches and simple pizzas. And one of my favorite coworkers was the front end of it all. She was helping people left and right while making sure she was doing her shift leading duties. I ran back and forth from the jerky case to the deli case, trying to get as many people out as possible. It was a very crazy night. Everyone searching for this convict was passing through our store, just trying to get nourishment for the long night ahead. That night, my coworker and I only got a break each after helping what felt like 1,000 officers, but it was not in vain. We did end up getting some information from the people on the search, things like what this man looked like and what he was going to prison for. There were possible ideas of where this guy was heading, and they thought it was towards San Antonio, about an hour away from where we were. Now, I need some more background on the town I was in. Like I said before, the town was very rural. There were farms and ranches everywhere and tons of wooded areas. Also, to mention again, we were right on an interstate, so there were plenty of places to hide and run. I will spare you all the boring details of my week and get into the horrifying part. The search for this waste of life lasted 3 whole weeks. On June 2nd, he broke into a ranch house only a few miles from town. While in there, he managed to find a razor, shave his head, and cleaned up his face. He ate the food that the family had left. It's unknown how long he was in the house or if he had been wandering around and just found this empty one. Well, that day, a family of 5 walked into the ranch and found this piece of scum in there. The convict murdered this family. A grandfather and his 4 grandsons were brutally murdered. He shot them and then robbed them of the grandfather's truck and some guns. A relative hadn't heard anything from the family in a couple of hours and knew of the situation that was going on in this town. They called the police, and when they found the bodies, there was a national alert that went off telling everyone to be on the lookout for a white truck. This was difficult for every officer because there were so many surrounding towns, and they couldn't even know what direction or how long ago this person had left. I don't know how they did it or what efforts they exhausted, but they managed to find the truck and set out spike strips to pop the wheels. The convict got out of the vehicle and started shooting at the police, who returned shots. Eventually, their shots landed, and the man was declared dead. 3 weeks of torment for everyone in my town was finally over. This guy managed to kill 5 innocent people, children. This man killed children. In Texas, we have the death penalty, and I genuinely believe he got what he deserved. My mom told me once that it was over. There was a photo of his body on the internet, and to this day it's still on Twitter. I look at that photo sometimes, and honestly, I feel like the trapped air in my lungs came out at the same time. This idiot was dead.
Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for creeping us out once again. And if you want more just like that, head on over to his YouTube channel, Swamp Dweller, and make sure you hit subscribe, ring that bell, because he's got thousands of stories just like that for you to get uneasy sleep each and every night. Time for the UFO report.
That is an interplanetary flying space saucer. You have made me very angry. Very angry indeed.
Timmy James, how you doing, my friend? It's good to have you here.
I'm doing well. And you, sir, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good.
Yeah. How can you not do good when Jim Goodall was on the show?
Right? Right?
I love Jim Goodall.
Oh, man. You and him had a good time.
We had a blast. I was so cool because I got to sit there with him on certain times during that weekend in Vegas, and he told stories. And I tell you, there's some of those people you sit there and you go, oh, uh-huh. Nope. I hung on every word that man had to say. He tells awesome stories. I love listening to him. He's such a great guy. Yeah. And I got one of his patches, his last patch.
I know. That was exciting.
Yes.
That was exciting. He's a special man.
Yeah.
And he is an absolute treasure.
Mm.
And he doesn't play the UFO game. He doesn't play, if you're nice to him, he's going to be nice back.
100%.
And I absolutely love and adore him. And, he's very, very much one of the people, and you know behind the scenes of what we do.
Yes.
There are very few people who I give an open door to on this show.
Mm-hmm.
Jim is one of them.
Oh, yeah.
Anytime he wants to come on. And, in probably about 3-4 weeks, he'll be like, hey, can you bring me on again? And I'll be like, yeah. And you know, sometimes it's the same stories over and over again.
It is.
But I don't care. It's
No.
Jim Goodall.
Yeah. Yeah. They're intriguing every time he tells them. I always love listening to him. It's awesome.
I'm going to disclose something, but I can't say who.
Okay.
I'm sitting beside Jim at the casino,
Mm-hmm.
and he shows me his phone.
Oh, yes.
And he's like,
Whoop.
guess who this is? You see that? And I wish I could say who it was, but I promised him I wouldn't.
No.
Right? But I was like, how the hell do you know this person? Do they know you? He's like, you like my books?
Yep.
You like my books?
Yeah. I know.
And I was like, you got to be kidding. Like, this is somebody high up.
Oh, yeah.
High up.
I was sitting on the other side of him. He was doing I was like, are you kidding me?
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. He's a walking monument.
For sure. And like I said to you earlier, is there anybody that he doesn't know?
Right?
I don't think so.
And you know what? We're going to do the fan party next year.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we want to see more fans there. This year it was kind of a just a get together, but next year we're going to try something a little bit different.
Yes.
It'll be the first week of May,
Mm-hmm.
weekend of May, and we are definitely, going to have Jim there.
Oh, yeah. You cannot you
Right.
can't not have Jim there.
Oh. Yeah. And you know what? Even if we didn't invite him, he would show up anyways.
And that's why we love him.
Mm-hmm. Before we get started,
Mm-hmm.
this Saturday is a big day for you and I.
It is so.
So Tim and I, thanks to Jim, I'm going to get you and
That's okay.
Jim mixed up now. We are embarking on the beginning of a 2 to 3 year research project
Mm-hmm.
at Area 51. It's hard to believe it's already here.
At Area 51.
Area 50. Flight 21.
That's okay.
Flight 21.
knew
See, I've still got Jim Goodall in my brain,
We can't stop.
right? And I had a chat with Samantha Mowat
Mm-hmm.
tonight
Mm-hmm.
and let her know what was going on. And I asked her the question, a couple of key questions.
Sure.
I said, Samantha, the phenomena hasn't answered whether or not I'll be safe out there.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, you're probably not.
Oh, great.
And I went, oh. She goes, yeah, you're probably not safe. She
Okay.
goes, what I'm seeing is I am seeing that the phenomena isn't going to scare you,
Mm-hmm.
but she goes, I can't guarantee any wild animals.
Mm.
Right? And I went, oh.
Yeah.
She goes, will you be carrying pointy sticks? And I said, yes, we will.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, just watch out for grizzly bears.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Sam.
Not a problem.
Appreciate it. And then I asked her about the premonitions of Dogman that I've been having.
Yeah.
I said, do you see a Dogman in the area right now? She goes, not right now.
Oh.
She goes, but I do believe that there is a portal there beside one of the big trees, and I'll show you the tree when we get there.
Uh-huh.
And she goes, it wouldn't surprise me if your premonition came through that one is just walking through. She goes, I don't believe that there is one in that area,
Okay.
but I could see it walking through.
Well.
Right. So I'm like, oh, yeah, that's what we need.
Yeah.
Little doggy man in the area. So now we got to bring some milk bones and tennis balls just in case.
That's right.
I'm the other thing that was decided
Mm-hmm.
is that Merle, Samantha, and myself, we're going back. And the stupid part about it is Merle and Samantha want to tent up and stay the night there again.
Interesting.
Yeah. So apparently, once again, old Davy gets voted out. Okay. My vote doesn't count because Merle wants to stay the night. Samantha wants to stay the night. It's her idea.
Yeah.
So we are going to be planning something for later this summer
Okay.
on going back. And I'm not excited about it.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
not excited about staying the night there.
Understood.
You know what that means, though?
What does it mean, Dave?
It means you get to stay the night too.
I'll bring my gear.
Yeah.
All right, I'll do it. I'll
Yeah.
take one for the team.
Yeah, we'll have to get little Marky Spender involved on that one too.
Yeah.
And we'll get it going. I'm not happy about that.
No, I can understand why you wouldn't be. But it's all in the name of science.
Right? More like television. But
Exactly.
oh goodness.
Just sounded better saying science.
Goodness. So lots coming.
Mm-hmm.
Merle's coming up here this weekend. We're going to talk to him
Oh, cool.
about it. And we're going to have a deep conversation.
Is he coming out Saturday or is he
What's coming up on Friday night, Saturday morning,
Okay.
I think.
All right.
Yeah, so it'll be good.
Sweet.
It'll be good. It's going to be a weird weekend. So
Looking forward to it, though.
after we get done in the forest, probably around 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, we got to meet Merle at the heritage site.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Woo. Okay.
I'm really hoping that
It's eventful, but not eventful.
I hope flight, and this is truthful, getting back to Flight 21,
Yeah.
no fun involved here.
Okay.
I hope whatever happens that happens out there, I hope it eases us in
Mm-hmm.
rather than comes large and in charge.
Yeah. No, I would agree with you wholeheartedly.
Yeah. So I think that is going to be interesting, to say the least. What do you expect?
I don't know what to expect, 100% honestly. I'm more concerned right now with figuring out where we're going to put cameras, how we're going to set up, which way we're going to sit, whereabouts we're going to be sit. Like my brain just went logistic. I think I'm going logistic because all the stories that I've heard personally from everybody, from you guys that were up there last time, is like, okay.
Let me ask you this before we get to the UFO report, because I know you got a lot to drain today.
Sure.
Are you prepared if something happens?
I'm as prepared as I think I'm going to be prepared. I'm ready for it. I've already put my brain into gear. I know that the possibilities that might be out there, and I'm okay with them. I'm not saying that if anything happens, I'll be like, yes, this is nothing. But I prepared myself, I guess, for shock or for woo or for creepiness or scariness. I'm ready for it. We'll see what happens.
I want you, because I know you've been in hauntings with me.
Yep.
Okay, you've seen how that kind of goes.
Mm-hmm.
I just want you to ask yourself over the next couple of days before we head out on the weekend.
Okay.
How are you going to react if something happens? Something with a close encounter with a UFO, an alien, Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I'm going to tell you right now, it's intimidating.
Oh, bad.
I know you've been to the other Bigfoot spot, but it is like, I'm not trying to freak you out.
No, I get it.
Not trying to freak you out at all, but if and when they show up.
Yeah.
And it's more of a when than if.
Mm-hmm.
They will let us know.
Yeah.
And it's about trying to dig down and keep calm.
Yes.
Keep calm and chive on, as they say.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
And I'll tell you why I'm bringing this up. Our former UFO report guy, Tim Senor, and I had a conversation today.
Great. Okay. Yeah.
And he came up to me and he stated that one of the issues he has had over the years and why he had to leave the show and move on was because he is still absolutely petrified of Flight 21. The night I was doing the Estes method, and I saw the orb in the blindfold,
right,
and when he pointed his psionics camera up, there was a UFO coming down. It scared him so bad he started crying.
Sure,
because he was Tim was a real, I don't mean to put him in past tense,
No.
but back then, Tim was very UAP, nuts and bolts. He's a 2017 ufologist or uapologist.
Yep.
Okay. And it wasn't about summoning. It wasn't about aliens. It was about gravitics and anti-gravity and the way the machines moved and all of that. He wasn't prepared for the woo side.
Got it.
Okay. And he literally was scared.
Yeah. Well,
Like crying scared when he saw that, when he saw me summon in a UFO.
Right.
And he got it on tape. By the way, if you want to learn summoning, you can do it completely free. You don't have to pay. And guess what? You don't even have to call it psionics.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? You can do it completely free. And the second thing that really petrified him, this is in 2023, was when he saw the alien.
Yeah.
When he saw the alien that was walking through the trees with Samantha and Merle and a couple other people.
Right.
That petrified him.
Sure.
And he admitted tonight that the location has been haunting him.
Oh.
And I said, it's time for you to go back, to come up here and go back.
Right.
He's like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. He goes, I don't know if I can handle it.
But all due respect to him. I mean, yeah.
So when you are a nuts and bolts person and something woo happens and you don't buy the woo, you think the woo is a bunch of crazy people who are, making extraordinary claims without evidence or proof. Where's the proof? You don't have the proof.
Right.
All right. Where's the evidence? Non-professional. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. I did that for Nicole Sack.
I know. Excrement.
Right. What you have to understand is for people who are not used to that type of thinking, that are more into the critical science of it all, they don't understand what it's like to have a close encounter experience.
And that's funny, or not funny. The way that I see it, I'm the opposite. I'm looking, or I shouldn't say I'm looking. I welcome, to a certain degree, that woo, that encounter. So I'm looking. I think that may be a different perspective that I have going out there. If that happens, that's kind of what I'm expecting or wanting to happen, I guess, to put it in perspective. Yeah, because I'm not worried about the way they fly and stuff. I want to see stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Jules puts it in the chat room perfectly. She says they don't believe experience is evidence until they have an experience.
Right.
That is very, very true.
Yeah. No, that makes total
very,
sense.
Very true. And so our education and switching from enthusiast to researcher starts on Saturday.
Yes.
And, I know I'm prepared as best as I could be. I know you're prepared as best as you could be. And let's just hope that we could be safe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Number one priority.
Absolutely. And I know we're going to get to the UFO report
that's
here after the break, because there is some big news that have kind of come out over the last 24, 48 hours.
Yep.
And we're going to get right to it.
This is Spaced Out Radio. And your host, Dave Scott.
I am so bloody pumped to get out there.
Yeah, for sure. I have the cameras all ready to rock, tripods all going, got everything charging up.
I just have to make sure all my stuff is done,
Mm-hmm.
which I got to pull out of the Jeep and
Mm-hmm.
check out. I'll probably buy more batteries as we go.
Yeah.
I got to make sure my flashlights are charged up.
Yes.
Um,
I got a couple of them that I need to throw on the charger too, for sure. I got the big floodlight too.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Have you got batteries for that?
It's rechargeable.
Oh, is it? Well, that'll last 10 minutes.
Let's hope not.
Oh.
It'll last longer than that, man.
Dude, one thing we do need to do prior to that
Mm-hmm.
is we got to fix that plastic piece for my front light bar.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Not a problem.
Yeah.
I'll bring some stuff over and we'll get that tidied up.
Yeah, because we're going to need that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just going to bypass the fuse on it.
Yeah. God damn, I'm nervous.
Yeah, no,
I'm going to be honest. And like I told Samantha tonight, like I am, or pardon me, Tim. I said, Tim, I'm scared.
Sure.
I'm scared of that place. He's like, but you're so calm about it. Like you just take the experiences, and I don't understand how you do that. I'm like, dude, this place scares the shit out of me.
Well,
It does.
yeah, especially after your last experience. I mean, no question, right? But
All of a sudden, we're going to hear the thud thud.
I'm okay with that because I know what that is now.
Yeah. As soon as we hear the thud thud, we have to be on it to turn the cameras that way.
Yeah, yeah.
And then go that way and that way.
Mm-hmm.
So we're covering like a 90 degree.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
even with the, like you say.
Oh, Jerry Carter, we have to go. It's in the cards. We
Yeah.
have to go.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Yepper. We're going to get and like you said, with the Dogman thing, the cameras will be running. So it's either going to be the GoPro, the DSLR, the Handycam, whatever we're using. There'll be cameras running. So if there's anything out there, we'll pick it up.
Plus our phones.
True.
So what we're going to be doing, guys, is every week that we go out there, Tim is going to, you're going to get raw footage of it all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Not all raw footage, but like, we're not going to hold back evidence or anything like that.
No.
We're not going to do the lead up and then show you nothing and say, we got to save that for the television no, we're not doing that.
Trust me, bro.
Okay, it will be slightly edited,
Mm-hmm.
just to get rid of the boring shit.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Tim and Dave eating sandwiches.
Yeah, but we are going to be putting out videos continuously on our YouTube channel with that, and it's going to be good. It's going to be good.
Faux show.
Oh man.
You're just now you've amped yourself up.
Dude, I'm totally amped. I am like on Saturday, I'm racing home from work, getting changed, coming to pick you up.
All righty. I'll be ready.
And we should be out there by about 6:30.
Perfect. Still light.
Set up by about 7.
Mm-hmm.
And
the sun will be going down.
And who knows how long they want us out there for.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that it's either going to be like within an hour or over 2 hours.
Right.
It's not going to be in between.
No.
Right? It's not going to be in between. We got a minute.
Perfect. Yep. Pointy sticks.
Yeah. I still haven't cleaned my shotgun yet.
Oh, we'll tidy it up. We'll do it sitting out there. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, until we lose a screw. Yeah, that's always good.
Yeah, into the forest floor.
30 seconds. Thank you to our 2 super chatters, Area 53 and Vaughn. We really appreciate the love and support. All right. And we're going to get going here momentarily. Here we go. 7 seconds. Go with the final half hour of Space Out Radio. First, we will remind everybody that if you missed most of this show or others, our archives are always free on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Our good friend, Little Timmy James, UFO Report. So where's the meetings, man?
Well, that's the question. That's the question. This week was supposed to be the UAP hearings and all that good stuff. So well, let's see what's going on. So obviously in recent months, public interest in the UAP UFO phenomenon has surged, driven by bipartisan congressional efforts to increase transparency around government investigations into these mysterious sightings. A highly anticipated public UAP UFO briefing session, initially scheduled for this week, was abruptly canceled, sparking speculation and frustration among advocates and the public. While official statements remain limited, several factors and unverified claims circulating on platforms like X and other social media sites suggest possible reasons for the cancellation. So the planned briefing was set to be hosted by the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability in collaboration with the Task Force on Declassified and Federal Secrets, led by Representative Anna Paulina Luna. The event, titled Understanding Identified Anomalous Phenomenon, Science, National Security, and Innovation, was intended to feature prominent figures such as Harvard astrophysicist Dr. Avi Loeb, and former Pentagon official Lou Elizondo. The briefing aimed to push for greater government transparency, advocate for scientific study of UAP and UFO, and address national security concerns related to unexplained aerial phenomenon. This session was part of a broader congressional push to investigate UAP following earlier hearings in 2023 and 2024 that revealed allegations of secret government programs, undisclosed UAP data, and potential national security threats. Lawmakers like Tim Burchett and Jared Moskowitz, Moskowitz and Luna have been vocal about demanding accountability for the Department of Defense and intelligence agencies, citing issues like overclassification and lack of disclosure to Congress. So, while no official detailed explanation has been provided by the House Oversight Committee, several sources have offered insights into the cancellation. These claims are inconclusive and should be treated with skepticism, as they lack corroboration from primary sources, obviously. So, a post by Stephen Bassett indicated that the cancellation of the public hearing was not surprising, and it wasn't surprising, I don't think, for any of us. Well, the cancellation was, but not really surprising, as it was tied to planned-sensitive compartmented information facility, so SCIF briefing, which was postponed to the end of May. So the SCIF was reportedly intended to precede the public session, suggesting that the delay of the classified meeting may have disrupted the schedule for the public briefing. Without the SCIF, the public hearing may have lacked critical context or updates needed to move forward. A more controversial claim suggests that the cancellation stemmed from a loss of credibility due to the Lou Elizondo presenting a fake photo at a prior UAP meeting attended by House members. These claims assert that this incident shattered credibility and prompted the committee chairman to cancel the hearing. However, again, no official confirmation or evidence supports this claim, and it remains speculative. So, in conclusion, the cancellation of the UAP hearing for this week appears to stem from a combination of logistical, strategic, and potentially controversial factors, while unverified claims about false evidence and the postponement of a classified skip briefing provide some context. The lack of an official explanation leaves room for speculation. The delay is a setback for UAP UFO transparency advocates, but the continued bipartisan interest in the upcoming skiff suggests that the issue remains on Congress's radar. As the UAP UFO conversation evolves, further hearings will need to balance scientific rigor, national scientific concerns, and public demand for answers. So basically a big maybe he said, she said, we don't know. This may be the reason. No official word, but
look, it makes sense. Okay, so let's backtrack here for a second.
Sure.
David Grush skips out on the meeting. It's alleged that maybe he missed a flight or something along those lines.
Yeah, I read something about that.
Okay. Lou Elizondo brings in another fake photograph after getting his butt handed to him by Luna and Mace for the last UFO hearing, where he was like, you got to read it in my book.
That's right.
It's all in my book, playing the you got to buy my book game.
Yeah.
Okay. These are the people that we have entrusted with the UFO story, the people that are supposed to be bringing it out. Now, if I'm in Congress and I have government people who are acting like that, I'm not going to want to deal with this subject.
No.
It's a waste of my time. You're wasting valuable government time and resources on everything. And whether or not you feel Elizondo was being a disinformation agent,
right,
or whether you feel he was set up, because there's a big argument about that right now on the floor. Okay. Either way, it doesn't make him look good.
No.
And it doesn't make Grush look good, because this is now the second time in the last couple of years where Grush has played a no-show. He did it for Arrow. He's now done it for Congress. Whether or not that was his fault or whatever the situation is, I wish they would be, using one of them government terms, transparent about it. Okay. I think that these meetings were canceled because the Congress people had enough.
Yeah. Okay.
They had enough of being played. Okay. Of the, I can't talk about that because of my NDA, not showing, playing, using irrigation systems as UFOs.
Yeah.
Okay. It is very, very difficult for them to take this seriously. They know there's an issue there. The evidence points to that there is an issue.
Yeah.
That there is something being hidden. Well, somebody has to tell them, let's get some proper people in here.
There it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not so-called whistleblowers who are actual experiencers or eyewitnesses.
Yeah.
Okay. Eyewitnesses are not, and this is where I've changed my tune. I know I mentioned this the last week when I was on, but I'm going to reiterate this. I've really changed my tune on these whistleblowers. Okay. I'm not crapping on them because they have amazing encounters that need to be told. Okay. They've witnessed things that need to be told, but they're not whistleblowers.
That's right.
Okay. Everything seems to need a title these days.
Yeah.
If somebody does a podcast, immediately they're doing a radio show. If somebody is writing a blog, immediately they're a journalist. If somebody is in a paranormal team and they have a bunch of gear, they're conducting scientific investigation. Okay. Just because these guys have come out and started about this, it doesn't mean they're whistleblowers.
Nope.
If they were whistleblowers, they'd throw their NDAs in the garbage and say, this is what I know. These are the people involved. This is where the craft are. This is where the bodies are.
Yep.
Okay. If American people want to find it, this is where you go. Then they go into hiding.
That's right.
Okay. Then they go into hiding to make sure that they can hopefully get cleared by the president, because they're likely going to be going to jail.
Yes.
That is a whistleblower.
Yeah.
Anyways, there's my rant for the day.
No, you're right. I totally agree. And I think that that's what you hit the nail on the head. I think it's time that these guys change up the cast of who they're bringing in, because it's getting old. So, did you hear about Danny Sheehan accusing Skywatcher of deceit in controversial UFO dog whistles?
No, please.
So, in a provocative statement that has sent ripples through the UFO research community, renowned constitutional lawyer and UFO disclosure advocate Daniel Sheehan has accused the Skywatcher team, a group claiming to contact UFO and UAP using a so-called dog whistle system, of engaging in deceitful and potentially dangerous practices. Sheehan alleges that the team's technology is not merely attracting non-human craft, but forcibly bringing them down, effectively, in quotes, kidnapping them to seize their advanced technology. The accusation, posted on X on May 11th, has ignited a firestorm of debate, raising questions about ethics, transparency, and the boundaries of human interaction with potential extraterrestrial intelligence. Sheehan, a Harvard-trained attorney with a storied career spanning high-profile cases like the Pentagon Papers and the Iran-Contra scandal, has long been a polarizing figure in the UAP disclosure movement. Through his work with the New Paradigm Institute, founded in 2023 to push for government transparency, Sheehan has represented whistleblowers like Lou Elizondo, former head of the Pentagon's ATIP. His latest claim targets Skywatcher, a group led by whistleblower Jake Barber, as we all may or may not know, which has garnered attention for its bold assertions about summoning UFO UAP using a proprietary electromechanical signal system. According to Sheehan, Skywatcher's dog whistle technology, described by the team as a combination of low-frequency electromagnetic signals and psionic methods involving meditative states, is not but a benign tool for communication. Instead, he contends it is being used to lure and disable non-human craft, with the intent of capturing their technology for reverse engineering. In quotes, I believe the Skywatcher people are engaged in artificially luring in some of these vehicles and forcing them down, end quote, as Sheehan stated. He further suggested that such actions could be perceived as hostile by non-human intelligence, potentially escalating tensions in ways humanity is unprepared to handle. Skywatcher's claims have been met with both fascination and skepticism since the group emerged in early 2025. In a promotional video released on the 7th of April, Barber, a veteran and alleged insider with ties to defense contractor Northrop Grumman, asserted that the team's system achieved results 100% of the time in broad daylight. However, Skywatcher has withheld specific details, citing the need for peer review and concerns about widespread misuse if the systems were open sourced. Sheehan's accusations amplified existing doubts about Skywatcher's credibility. Critics have pointed to the group's reluctance to share data as a red flag, with one user on X commenting, "This concept of we can't let everyone know the dog whistle because then just anyone can do it feels like a cop-out." Others have questioned the feasibility of the system that allegedly summons intelligent beings with such precision. The ethical implications of Sheehan's allegations are profound. If true, the act of forcibly downing non-human craft could be interpreted as an aggressive move, potentially violating the sovereignty of advanced intelligence. Sheehan has previously claimed in a February 2025 interview that technology exists on Earth capable of disabling UAP, a practice he warned could be seen as an act of war. His concerns echo broader debates within the UFO community about whether humanity should pursue adversarial tactics such as capture and reverse engineering or prioritize peaceful communication. Sheehan advocates for the latter, emphasizing civilian-led efforts to establish diplomatic contact. And for now, the UFO community awaits further developments with calls for independent verification of Skywatcher's technology growing louder. As one Reddit user put it, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Whether Skywatcher or Sheehan can provide that remains to be seen.
Oh, I've provided it on film.
Yeah, I know.
You know, Sheehan is not only does he have the best hair,
Yeah, he does.
you know,
Super curl.
in the UFO, you know, the curly mullet.
Yep.
Like if you imagine Daryl Hall or John Oates from Hall and Oates with his curly hair.
Yeah.
But bright white.
Yep.
Total Santa Claus hair. I love his hair. But let's get serious for a second because we only got about 5 minutes here before we got to say goodnight. This idea that he is calling them out, I think, is great. Skywatcher seems to be getting a free pass on a lot of things. And there is no reason for them to try and hide things from the community.
No.
Except I understand they're going after government contracts. Okay. They are going after everything that we need to do. And I'm going to break this down with Science Bob.
Cool.
Okay. Because Science Bob has been brought on as an advisor to Skywatcher.
Right.
And I'm going to pose that question to him in a couple nights' time here when he is on the show for his appearance. Because we need to talk about it.
Yeah.
What if you are not a public group, why are you posting publicly about it? Why do you need Logan Paul to be in your videos? Why are you refusing to acknowledge the UFO community? Not UAP community, the UFO community. Why do you choose who you will and will not talk to on a public spectrum? Okay.
Yeah.
There is a lot going on with this group that seems, I'm not going to say nefarious, okay, because I think they're doing it for their own. But if you're doing it on your own, what do you need publicity for? What do you need to be putting out your little Skywatcher movies for?
Right.
And I don't agree with Danny, though, on one thing. And that is that they're trying to bring them down to crash these craft with summoning. I don't believe in that.
He is a lawyer, right?
Well, I understand his point.
Exaggerate.
Okay, but that just seems a little too far-fetched. As somebody who has summoned on video, okay, and there is a video out there. I haven't even seen it, to be blunt, but I mean, there is a video out there.
Yep.
I want to be able to say that I don't think we can crash these aircraft with our minds or a dog whistle or whatever. You need some serious technology to do that. Lasers,
Lasers,
do weapons. Okay, that's kind of what you need.
Yeah.
I don't think when you all of a sudden communicate with your brain, hey, can I see you? And they light up for you, that all of a sudden you're going to go, no.
Look at that.
I don't see that happening.
Yeah, no.
Right? I don't see you all of a sudden being able to control it like it's a drone and you've got the controls on your thumbs.
Yeah.
I don't see that whatsoever.
Nope.
You know, so I think Danny there is a little bit out of touch, but do I have the proof? No. That's just an opinion.
Yeah, of course.
We got 2 minutes. What else you got for us?
Well, not really a lot. Well, I could probably blast this into 2 minutes. It's a funny little story. So a quiet weekend camping trip turned bizarre for a local couple who claimed they saw triangular UFO that hovered over their campsite like it was looking for something. Mark and Lisa Green, both 34, say they were roasting marshmallows late on a Saturday night when they noticed 3 bright lights arranged in a triangle slowly drifting overhead. At first, we thought it was a plane, said Mark, but it made no noise. And then Lisa said, either that's a UFO or someone's drone just got a serious upgrade. According to the couple, the object hovered silently for about 2 minutes, bobbing slightly as if it was looking for something. I joked that maybe they lost their alien car keys or dropped their space wallet, said Lisa. But then it shot straight up into the sky and vanished. I guess they found whatever they were looking for. The couple managed to capture a few seconds of video, though it's mostly shaky footage of Mark yelling, "Dude, are you seeing this?" Local authorities say they received no other reports of unusual sightings that night, though one neighbor reported a weird humming noise that he initially blamed on his Roomba. Sedona UFO researcher Kevin Marshall says the couple's account is consistent with other sightings in the area, though he cautions that not every mysterious light in the sky is a spacecraft. Sometimes it's just an alien with a really bad sense of direction, Marshall quipped. Stay tuned as we attempt to contact extraterrestrial AAA for comment.
Right. And I think that is absolutely hilarious. I wonder if they have warranty programs.
I hope
for
so.
them spaceships. Just call the warranty program. If you get in an accident, or I wonder if you get a carryover.
Ooh.
That if you don't get any repairs done in the first 5 years, you get a carryover to your next one.
Awesome.
Credit. I wonder if that works.
Maybe.
I wonder if that. I don't even know.
Me neither.
I don't even know. That was a good UFO report, and great job on reporting both of those, because I think those are stories that the public needs to hear what's going on, and it's a real schmazel.
Schlemazel.
Exactly. So, little Timmy James, thank you very much on the UFO report. As we got about 20 seconds before we need to say goodnight, how do you feel? How do you feel about this whole UFO story, about Skywatcher, about, the congressional hearings going bye-bye? Hit us up on X at Spaced Out Radio and let us know how you feel. We'd appreciate that.
I know you're out there somewhere. This is the ultimate state. So waiting for you to break.
Because
Stay
together,
alive,
my
don't
friend.
make a mistake. We're watching.
Right.
We clear.
Publish.
Yep.
They didn't name it. They didn't let me name it. That's okay.
Okay.
I can change that.
I'm not even over there and you're making me panic. It's like, oh no, Jesus.
I changed the name when it's uploaded.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did a little boo-boo there.
So what's with the, I thought it was Bigfoot Broadcasting.
I forgot.
I know you did. I was like,
I'm gonna once I figure out the audio thing,
yes,
I'm gonna rewrite all the intros and everything, and then I got to go back to script because now I have to memorize.
Sure, absolutely.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. And I gotta memorize it. Danny Shea does have nice hair, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That is pretty curly.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing that gets me about this is this Jake Barber and Skywatcher just came out of nowhere at like 10,000 miles an hour. It's just like almost like Nickelback.
I like Nickelback.
I know, me too. But they came out of nowhere, right? Boom.
Difference between Nickelback and Skywatcher is Nickelback at least was doing the grind.
Yeah.
They were grinding.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Skywatcher didn't grind. They just got a bunch of money and poof, here we go.
Yep.
You got to ask Kira, Grant. Kira got these somewhere. All right, so that's been published. So now let's see if I can edit this, because that's going to pop up as new recording. Yeah, so let's view. Oh, let's go there. All right, so let's go Area 51 talk with Jim Goodall.
Jim freaking Goodall.
Oh, God, now I capitalize it because I type everything in cap.
I know.
May 12, 25, Area 51 stories with Jim Goodall. There we go. So save that.
And how many shits do you have to edit?
4 shits. 5 shits.
Oh, is there 5? Yes, you did hear that, Christine.
What? Did you hear my stomach rumble?
No, she goes, I think I heard him say son of a bitch, but not sure. Yeah, you know,
That one's okay. Bitch is okay.
Yeah.
There we go. That's good enough. All right. All right.
Holy, Grant's really setting up a studio.
Yeah, he's looking good there.
No kidding.
He's looking good.
Looking good, Grant.
Hello, Grantamius Maximus. All right, so that's saved now. I'm going to sneeze.
Gesundheit.
Gesundheit. Thank you. All right.
Wow.
So let's now go to podcast. Let's go here. That should be in there with the proper title. There we go. Let's download this bad boy. Close this up here.
What we have to be careful of is that Grant doesn't show any of this picture of his studio to Lee, because Lee will have monitor envy.
Yeah.
Because Lee's got a kick butt studio.
I love Lee's studio.
I know, right? The guy's like, he's like the total home decor dude.
He definitely Home Depot'd that one.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of Home Depot in there.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A lot of Home Depot there.
I don't think it was the last show, last Element 115, but I think it was one before we started. Lee goes, oh, dang, I forgot something. I'm like, what could you have forgotten? You've got lava lamps, aliens crawling out of your walls. Like, what are you talking? He turns around, he turns the fog machines on.
I know.
I'm like,
Yeah.
really? That's awesome.
Yeah, the
No.
fog machines.
Now I want one.
It's like, what are you doing?
He's yeah, he is in all in.
Oh God.
He pushed them chips to the center of the
Oh, yeah.
table.
Yeah, that was good.
He goes, don't worry, it'll clear. I'm like, I'm not sitting in it. Hope it does.
Yeah. At least he was courteous to.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right. So let's go like this.
See, there's Grant. Okay, I'm getting a fog machine. Do it. Do it.
So for people who don't know yet, Grantavius Maximus on Wednesday nights, starting not this Wednesday, but the following Wednesday, will be coming on in and doing a Wednesday night show before mine for 1 hour.
Nice.
Yeah. 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 It's going to be good. It's going to be real good.
Nipple shirt.
All right. Hold on. I got to think here. So the shit started at 9:55.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first one. So this half hour is clean.
Well, Christine, it's a long story, but yeah. Extra small Lee has a nipple shirt.
That he does. We were witness to it.
Not that we wanted to be.
No, we didn't ask for it. We didn't ask for it. Yet there it was. Free the nipples.
That's it.
He freed them.
Yeah. Oh, okay, Lee, that answers it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's right. Mel's got it right. I got what counts. I got the WD-40 can on the shelf behind mine.
Yeah. I have to do a change to our lube shirt.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta get Mel WD-40's name on there.
Yeah.
Oh no, don't save this yet, Dave. You're already screwing up. So we got 9:55, so that's 9:59. Be around here.
I'll see if I can get you in the talking of the Blackbird. She thought I was feeding her a lot of crap. And I said, meet me on, I think it's the 22nd of August,
8 o'clock.
2023. And I called her up and I said, meet me at the main entrance of the Air Force Museum at 8 o'clock. The place doesn't open up until 9. And she thought I was still pulling her leg until I was standing at the door and she heard her daughter walked in. The director was there to greet her and her daughter. I can't remember her name. It drives me nuts. And big hullabaloo, we went down into the main gallery. The canopy is built at the front, the back cockpit were open. There was the crew, the crew landed. Crew ladder platform with the B1 stand, with the B2 stand. I say, well, since I'm just near and dear to the Blackbird, I have to get in first. So I got my picture taken in there, and then Nicole got in there. I got a picture taken, and her daughter did. And I don't think it's not Nicole. You couldn't have slapped the grin off her face. She says, I thought you were shitting me.
Here it is.
I said,
There we go.
And then the cold got in there. You couldn't slap the grin off your face. She says, I thought you were shitting. I thought you were shitting me.
Yeah, let's get rid of that 1 second there.
Hmm.
Good enough. There's number 2. SOR2. Good times. Good times. So we have light for Saturday.
Mhm.
Okay. What do I need to bring? I've got first aid.
So do I. Or yeah, okay, we're going in one vehicle. That's right.
Yeah.
Pointy sticks, lawn chairs.
I got to go buy a new lawn chair. I got to get one that actually fits.
Yeah, I get you.
Because the other one, those stupid bars bend and then they bend into your leg and your legs get all uncomfortable. I hate that crap. Oh, I hate that.
Grant says extra undies, socks.
No water up there. I was up at the forest yesterday. The boy and I went up there.
Mhm.
And 1 second, I'm going to sneeze again.
Mm-hmm.
First thing he says was, excuse me. First thing he says was, boy, Dad, the energy's sure different up here than it was a week ago.
Oh,
A
wow.
couple weeks ago. I said, yeah, it is, isn't it? Completely different. It is so dry up there already, dude.
Really? Well, maybe not after today.
After that heavy rain
Mm-hmm.
on Saturday night and Sunday,
Yep.
there was no puddles.
Really?
None. Because that's why we went out there. We went to go puddle jumping.
Sure.
And all of our regular puddles were dry
Oh,
and hard. All right. So this one's at 10:15 and 10:20. So we got, we start at 06 at 16. So this one should be around here.
How about, is there any other place out here that would like test something like that? Somebody said no. So he said, it wasn't swamp gas. I saw it when I was my backseater, saw the system up there, saw it. And if he'd had even an iPhone 1, he could have done that photograph. But, carry that stuff right here when you're trying to spot it. The camera's on the airplane, but he's not going to go further than take a picture of where this thing is. So, are UFOs real? I'd have to say, based on what Dave Luan said, yeah. So let's go back to Area 51. I'm at Edwards Air Force Base. I'm there to support 3 programs, like I said earlier. That was the category 1. Just I was responsible for the installation and troubleshooting of ground-based telemetry. And on the morning of February 29th, it was a Saturday, something came into Edwards Air Force Base that set off all the fire alarms on the flight line. 2 Blackbirds had come in from Area 51, and they came in and parked with their the engine still running, but the engines were pointing towards the open hangar. And the heat got so warm in the hangar, the deluge system got between 60 and 80,000 gallons of water in just a few seconds. Quickly, getting fire out. Yep. And one or two of the Lockheed guys almost drowned in so much water. And it turned out, and that's what set off the alarms. So the building's 8 miles from the flight line. I ran out from the truck was, it was gone from the irritation. So shit. So I ran out taking it. So shit.
There's one. And then 5 minutes later, So we got that. That's 16. Should be about here.
It was a super secret flight test. And in about 5 hours, they went back, just reversed what we did. Back to the F-27, we were allowed to look around. And you know, the airplane usually back then. It wasn't until probably 1970s, 20 years, 25 years that I realized, shit, I was in Area 51. 1970s, 20 years.
Shit.
But not my only 10, I was in Area 50. Yeah. I was in Area 51.
Okay, that's it for that half hour.
Not my only time.
4, 3. I gotta go get some slugs
Mm-hmm.
because I don't think my bird shot is going to.
Not if there's grizzlies.
You want to open that up and just see how much I have?
How many slugs?
Yeah.
This one?
No, the
Oh, yeah.
have to do a test here. Make sure that we have the proper gear with us. Because if we don't, we is in trouble. Bottom.
Yeah.
His Greatness, welcome to SOR chat. Got bear spray. Not worried about bear spray. Plus, I have enough hot sauce in my fridge to scare them off. All right, first one's at 39. So coming out of the break, bottom, that's 35, 37, 39. Should be right about here.
I enjoy this. I enjoy the freedom to talk about stuff that I like.
Is that the only pack I got?
You 5.
And the funny thing about
See.
it is, I really believe I could pull it off.
Just 5?
Yep.
Just gonna go get some.
I was capable of doing it when everybody said, "You'll never pull it off." And I,
Okay.
So this is August of 1989. I get a call from Ben. He is the president of the Lockheed Skunk. I had a conversation with him.
You want to check and see how dirty that is?
Sure.
We were getting a Blackbird. We weren't getting any Blackbird. We were getting article number 128, which is the 8 Blackbird bill. It's an 812. It was going to be one of the operational birds that the program had continued. And it was the one used for envelope expansion. And when we got the word, I managed to get the entire Minnesota congressional delegation to sign off. 5 Democrats and 5 Republicans that we ever agreed on anything before 6.
Oh no, not that one.
No.
Not taking that one.
So everything's
Why
come
not?
together.
I'm just saying.
You 6. There's a lot of us out there that plan. We sort of get things done.
Oh, that one.
We're really in charge. But I remember at the museum, this is Colonel So-and-so, Secretary of the Air Force's office. Well, there's, I want to speak to the.
Careful, it's on camera.
So good.
Speaking to him. I said, no, I want to speak to the officer involved. I said, Colonel, let me your friend.
No, Eric.
Vice President General Manager of an industrial controls company. It's my program. How can I help you? Who do I talk to about getting someone out there, be out there, photographer?
You're actually very clean.
You go up to security, you ask for Glenna Farley, and you say Jim Goodall said, Sergeant Goodall said,
Surprisingly.
"Wait for me to come out and film below the blast."
You good?
Perfect.
And you knew he just had to hate to ask that permission when he got to Lockheed. But the funny thing about Glenna Farley, after we were assigned Blackbird, I called it.
I gotta find this shit here. So 35, 37, 39.
And he said, a lot of stuff that I can't even say I've seen. But it's, I have a name recognition. I've been around for a long time. But what gets me is I was invited to one MUFON function in Las Vegas before COVID. And I haven't been invited in any of the other ones. And I see some of the people that are there, and it's the same. It's the same old stuff. There's nothing new. And I don't. And it seems like podcasts are coming and going now. Maybe because they're not Dave Scott. But I enjoy this. I enjoy the freedom to talk about stuff that I love. And as everybody knows, I scrounge for Blackbird. And the funny thing about it is, I didn't believe I could pull it off. That's one of the reasons I was inducted in the Aviation Hall of Fame, because of what I was capable of doing when everybody said, "Yeah, you'll never pull it off. He's full of shit."
That's the one right there.
What I was capable of doing when everybody said, "Yeah, you'll never pull it off. He's full of shit." Right. Full of shit. Full of shit. Full of shit. And I
Good enough. Okay, now 53. So that's 45, 55,
So
53 should be around here.
Have you ever encountered or uncovered
I don't know any of them personally, but I know I've seen a number of them in action, and yes, it irritates me. If it's what's for national security, bullshit. It's because they, someone.
That's the last one. Here it is.
What's for national security, bullshit.
Well, let's just cut that out. Thanks for a nice, easy one there, Jimmy.
Yeah, no doubt.
Appreciate that.
Perfect soundbite.
What number is that? That's number 4. Danny Silva from the Silver Record is on tomorrow night. Be his first interview in a long time. We like Danny around here. We do.
That would not be Junior walking around, would it?
No.
I was just going to say.
No. Better not be.
Yeah, you got Schul tomorrow.
He's got school. Dude, he's doing so well.
No, that's good.
Yeah. Like, I'm almost proud of him.
Almost. Yeah, well.
Yeah. Good kid. Good, smart kid.
Oh, good for him.
I like him.
He's okay.
Yeah. I'm a big fan.
Yeah. I like him, except when he decides that he's going to start trying to beat me up.
I know that feeling.
So is he going to go and be a chicken hunter this year? Like, is he going to
I
try
think
to do
so.
it? Good for him.
I think so.
Good.
I got to get him a smaller 22, though. I know the one I want for him.
Yeah.
Just something that's easier for him to have control of.
Well, you can always grab that little one that I got.
What little one you got?
That little single shot.
Does it come with a mag?
No. He's got it's intentional. Everything is intentional to teach him the safety.
He has the safety down.
Yeah. Oh no.
It's more the weight.
Of course.
Because my 22 is too big. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we all did that when we were kids.
I
too.
still do that. That's why I'm not used to my rifle.
Mm-hmm.
Not used to it.
It's like my wife.
And for the record, for people say, and Joe, I know you made a comment that nobody should check your own guns. I'm still a rookie at this. I don't really know what I'm looking for or what I'm doing. Yeah. So that's the reason why Tim was just checking my pointy stick to see, because I wouldn't know dirty. Like, I've never been shown.
No, exactly.
I'm brand new to this. So, and I am learning still. And it's going to be a couple years before I get it all figured out.
Yep.
I'm just happy I got my safety figured out.
Yeah.
Yep. And still at that point where what I may perceive as clean is dirty to someone else.
Yeah. No, it's a mirror in there. It's actually very, very good.
Nice.
I was like, okay, I'm expecting to see some, normal, not sludge. That doesn't happen, but they look dusty and dirty inside.
Yeah.
No, yours is nice.
All right. Let's say a big thank you tonight to Von Patrick and Area 53 for the super chats. Tomorrow night on the show, Danny Silva will be here for the Silva record. And then we'll have questions with Robin Haynes after that.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be good. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. If you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe, ring that bell. And we will see you all tomorrow night, everybody. Take care.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.